What's happening? All right, here we are. Here we are. Might be a little bit quiet today. My voice isn't great. I came down with a bit of a cold this week, so yeah. Might be a bit of a grainy voice. Sorry about that. Nothing a can of iron brew won't fix. Be with you in a second. And yeah, obviously, as always, if somebody in the comments could let me know if my microphone's in properly and if the audio is good, be greatly appreciated. God bless you. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Been avoiding sugar most of the week, and yeah, yeah, it's really, really good. All right, where was I? Yo, what's happening, Josh? How's it going, man? God bless you. This was so painfully obvious the whole time. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's painfully obvious to us guys. It's painfully obvious to critical thinkers and people who have a functioning brain. Unfortunately, it's not painfully obvious to normies. Then again, what is obvious to those people, you know? And I'm sick and tired of trying to educate people and being called. I mean, seeing people say one thing before a fight, and then something happens that totally validates and substantiates your opinion, and yet you come at these people and they still call you a conspiracy theorist. I'm just so sick and tired of it. And then you respond to the conspiracy theorist accusation, and YouTube removes your comment automatically. Yeah, I'm in a bad mood, man. The worst part is the circus. The people who believe in the circus are condescending and smug when you tell them the truth. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you can be proven right time and time again. You can have just mountains of evidence for the stuff you talk about, and they'll still call you a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. They'll still say that you're in your grandmother's basement, as Teddy Atlas would put it. Man, I'm tired of it. I really am tired of it. What's happening, JD? Good to see you, man. God bless you. Everyone at my workplace was saying Ngannou was going to KO AJ. Can't wait to laugh in their stupid faces. Mate, I was going to talk about this, right? I went to a boxing gym this week, right? Another boxing gym because my gym's closed, right? Because my coach is away. So I went to a different gym this week to train. And you should have heard the conversations like that I heard in this gym from all the normies, like all these idiot casual boxing fans who are talking about AJ has no chin and Ngannou he's gonna knock him out and all that. And I just wanted to bitch slap these people. I'm not even kidding. Like there were women in the boxing gym, these stupid like lesbians who box, and they're talking about how AJ has no chin and he's gonna get knocked out. And I'm just like, I'm not even kidding. My tolerance for normies is at an all-time low. I just want to bitch slap these people every time I come across them and hear their normie conversations. I can't deal with it anymore. I can't deal with it. I really can't. Probably because I'm getting older. Zhang Parker reminded me of Sandor Martin versus Tiafimo. Zhang dropped him twice on accident with weak arm punches and stared at him the rest of the time. Yeah. The problem is with Zili Zhang. He's a guy who's got power, but he's not an athlete. He's very, very low volume. And that was what cost him the Hrgovic fight. Because if you remember that fight, it was a very similar fight. Zhang was able to score a knockdown. He was able to hurt Hrgovic every time he landed. But the problem is there was whole rounds in the fight where he barely threw a punch. And that's because he's just not an athlete. Look, you can be a big 290-pound man with like bricks in both hands. You can be really powerful. But if you don't do like any cardio at all, you don't train like an athlete, you're not going to be able to have a sustained performance over 12 rounds. And you can't be like that when you're fighting a guy like Parker, who is an athlete, a guy who can move and box on the back foot for 12 rounds, and a guy who's durable and who's experienced. So I wasn't impressed. I mean, I wasn't surprised one bit. I was somewhat impressed, but like I wasn't surprised one bit by the result of that fight. I've never been high on Zhilei Zhang. Never, never been high on him. Bro, I was waiting for your reaction. I was telling everyone Ngannou was a sacrificial lamb in order to reignite interest for Fury AJ. Whatever happens with Usyk, Fury AJ is a guaranteed moneymaker. Of course it is. It's the biggest fight in boxing. I mean, that'll get more casuals involved than Mayweather Pacquiao did. That's a massive fight, and it has to happen because again, the boxing economy basically needs that fight, you know. And again, look, anybody again, why am I even? I shouldn't even need to say this. Anybody with even a functioning, working adult brain should have been able to see that Francis Ngannou was a complete and utter pudding. He was food for any heavyweight contender. I'm not even talking about the top heavyweights. Let's forget Tyson Fury. Let's forget Alexander Usyk. Let's forget Anthony Joshua. Let's forget Wilder. Let's forget Parker. Let's forget Zhang. Let's forget Dubois. Let's forget all them guys, right? Let's forget Hergovich. Let's forget them all. Francis Ngannou wouldn't even beat Dave Allen in a boxing match. I'm not even exaggerating. Okay, could you imagine what any of the like C class, like lower tier fringe contenders at heavyweight would have done to Ngannou? Imagine what Kubrat Pulev, right now, 42 years old, would do to Ngannou. He would box his head off all night. Imagine what Johnny Fisher, a domestic level, like area level guy from the UK, would probably do with Ngannou. He'd probably just outbox him. All right. Let's say it's a 4 round fight. Would Ngannou have the stamina to outwork somebody like Fisher like Johnny Fisher over 4 rounds? The guy's literally just a big bodybuilder who was used to just overpowering guys in an MMA ring, guys who were significantly smaller than him, a lot of the time older and past their prime. Like talk about a manufactured star in combat sports. That's what you have right there in Francis Ngannou, you know. But again, this should be obvious, and this is why I've ran out of patience with these normies. This should be obvious to anybody what was going to happen in that fight and what was going on there. Again, I said on live streams, I said weeks ago, Dave Allen would beat Ngannou. He would. Dave Allen would literally beat Ngannou. All right. He did about as good against Anthony Joshua as Charles Martin, except Charles Martin, I think, basically quit. Ngannou didn't quit. He was brutally knocked out cold because Ngannou is a sitting duck. He's a walking target, stationary walking target for any heavyweight contender, let alone a world class heavyweight like Anthony Joshua with one punch knockout power in both hands. What do you think was going to happen? Seriously. Like this was a step below Otto Wallin. Otto Wallin would beat Francis Ngannou. I'm not even kidding. Otto Wallin would win every single round. Otto Wallin would probably stop him. I'm not even kidding. Man. And it's getting a bit ridiculous now, this crossover sports trend. It's just I'm not saying that there's no place for it whatsoever. It's interesting to see people from different disciplines competing against each other. But that's what MMA is. That's what MMA is for. Okay, if you want to see crossover competitions between martial artists of different styles, just have them fight in the cage. Have them fight in MMA. Right? Fury versus Ngannou. I said this before Fury versus Ngannou. If you guys remember the video that I made about that fight, I made one video about it, and I said all I needed to say. That fight, if it was going to happen, should have been in MMA, right? Because then you're leveling the playing field. You're allowing both guys to do what works for them, and you're loosening the rules for Fury, who, of course, in his own sport, it would be a mismatch, which it was. But in Ngannou's sport, which is more of an open sport, it's different disciplines and different martial arts styles, different fighting styles coming together and seeing what works best for them, what works best for the individual. It would have been an interesting fight. That's what comes to my mind when I think about crossover sports, things like that, okay, I don't think of a roided up MMA guy who needs to be able to clinch and use his weight and his size to beat you, fighting a professional world class heavyweight boxer. I don't think that when I think crossover sport. That doesn't make any sense to me, okay? Again, that's my little tangent on that. Of course, people react as if it's just some schizo rambling. Anyway, God bless. Exactly. They think you're a schizo for suggesting that a sport as corrupt and as dirty as boxing could ever have fixed results. That any fight could ever be rigged, any fight could ever be fixed. That makes you a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist in the minds of these idiot spastic normies. Man, I wasn't expecting to be in this bad a mood, but just the more I think about it, the more the stupidity of these normies and the ignorance and the arrogance as well as the ignorance of them just pisses me off. Like I had a guy today say to me in the comment section, I think this was on the comments of Del Boy's video. He was like, "Why does everything have to be a conspiracy with you?" With a laughing face emoji, and I'm like, "You." This is probably one of the guys who said AJ has no chin. Ngannou might knock him out. I'm going to bet on it. Like I want to slap these guys. I want to bitch slap some sense into them. That's what I want to do. But yeah, thanks, Iron Fist. God bless you. How's it going, Larry? Good to see you here, man. God bless you. We hear you loud and clear. Thanks a lot, Kyle. God bless you too, man. Shout out to Rebel Slave. Good to see you here, man, every time. God bless you. Hey, how's it going, Daniel? Hey, Nordic. Hope everything is well and blessed as always. I tell you what, Usyk really has an uphill hill battle against Fury in 2 fights, apparently. Yeah, Fury's going to beat Usyk. Look, I've no doubt about it. But again, I'm sick of even talking about it. I've talked about it at length. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. Don't get me wrong, but again, I've talked about it at length. It is what it is. Now I have an entire year of so-called men around me fantasizing over AJ's cock. Yeah, that's coming. I mean, it's funny that the AJ fanboys, they were in hiding for over a year because of the Usyk losses, but they came out full force after the Wallin fight, and they're back bigger and badder than ever, calling everybody a hater and talking about how he'd knock out Fury because Fury couldn't knock out Ngannou or Wallin, and AJ did. So that means that AJ will knock out Fury. That's how these people think. That's how their minds work. They're that stupid and gullible that they think that boxing is all about knockout power. But again, these people are just normies, right? They're just ignorant, spastic normies, and I'm sick and tired of them. It is what it is. Yeah, yeah. Wear the tinfoil hat with pride, bro. Yeah, exactly. I'm full Alex Jones. That's what they call you. You're an Alex Jones listener. When you say something quote unquote like conspiracy theory like, you know. What's up with Zhang last night? It's weight the issue could have been. Well, Zhang's always been overweight and he's always been unfit. All right. Look at the Jerry Forrest fight. Look at the Hergovich fight. I mentioned this earlier. Zhang will knock a guy down and stun them, but if he can't get them out of there, he's toast. He's got no stamina. That was why Hergovich beat him. That was why he almost lost to Jerry Forrest. Zhang is unfit and he's uncoordinated when he starts to get sloppy from being so unfit. Here's what it is, man. Yeah, a couple of them tinfoil hats, yeah. When people say to me, AJ has a glass chin, I reply with the question, why didn't Klitschko KO him then? Then they reply, but Klitschko was 40. Your power doesn't just disappear when you're a heavyweight. Look, if AJ had a glass chin, Povetkin would have knocked him out. Klitschko would have knocked him out. Usyk would have knocked him out. Dillian White would have knocked him out. Okay. Eric Molina probably would have knocked him out. Like, look, he doesn't have a glass chin. All right. If you have a glass chin in the heavyweight division, you don't become world champion unless you're like fighting smaller guys. Like Michael Moore was one who had a Michael Moore. He had a glass chin, but again, he was a guy who was kind of maneuvered into winning a title. He didn't fight Vladimir Klitschko early in his career. He didn't fight Alexander Povetkin, and when he fought an old George Foreman, you saw what happened. He got knocked out. But my point is, if AJ did have a glass chin, he wouldn't have been able to beat the guys he's beaten, and he would have gotten knocked out multiple times in his career. He's only been stopped once, hasn't he, as a pro? So no, I don't think he has a glass chin. And even in that fight, he didn't get knocked out. He was stopped on his feet. Shout out to Kenwell. Nick got robbed. A lot of people seem to think so, but very close fight, you know. Shout out to Sven Otke. God bless you, bro. Shout out to Yard Knight. God bless you too. Sup? How's it going? Shout out to Bruce Goes. God bless you, bro. Really enjoying the channel, by the way, Bruce. Had some good discussions, man. I do like Ngannou. He carries himself very well, but I'm glad AJ got that quick and easy KO win. Yeah. Yeah, look, AJ, as far as I'm concerned, AJ did what he was supposed to do against the level of opponent he was in with. All right, that's what he did. When you're fighting a guy who's 0-1 and who's never really boxed before at that level, you separate yourself. That's what Fury should have done to Ngannou, and that's what Fury would have done if the fight was real. So again, that's all it is. This just validates what I've been saying about that fight. It validates it entirely, as far as I'm concerned. Either Fury carried Ngannou or Fury's completely washed up and has nothing left. Fury carried him 100%. That's what happened. Yeah. Punch drunk Chisora would beat Ngannou. Of course he would. Dave Allen would beat him. He would. Johnny Fisher or Dave Allen would beat Ngannou. I'm not even kidding. Maybe an unpopular opinion. Parker hasn't been very impressive in his last two fights. He's just done his usual thing. Good speed, decent technicals, solid work rate, same old Parker. Yeah, I'd agree with that, you know, but it looks good on paper, you know. Beating Wilder and Zhang is a good look on paper, at least. Nick Ball got robbed against Nick Ball. He got robbed against himself. Yeah. No, I know what you mean, though. A lot of people thought that, but it was a close fight. Let's be honest. And he gave a lot of the early rounds away. You know, the alternate to being a conspiracy theorist is believing that boxing is honest and fair for no reason at all, despite evidence to the contrary. Yeah. I mean, it's funny to me because I can always remember growing up in boxing, right, and learning about fixed fights were common knowledge, particularly in British boxing. Like there were journeymen used to take dives all the time, and people used to get annoyed about it. You know, there were so many gambling scams and stuff like that that went on. If you look at like unlicensed boxing, for example, and even bare knuckle boxing, there's so many fixed fights, and that was always common knowledge. It's only in recent years that people seem to get genuinely offended and call you a conspiracy theorist if you even suggest the possibility that a fight might have been fixed. I've never understood it, you know? Yeah, David Price could come out of retirement. David Price would knock him out even quicker. He would knock Ngannou out even quick because he hits harder than Joshua, right? He could knock Ngannou out even quicker than Joshua did. I'm not even kidding. He could. And it would be very easy. Parker deserves respect, even though I don't rate him that highly. Parker is willing to take on anyone. Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, he's never really ducked anybody, has he? And he's got one of the best resumes in modern heavyweight division, you know? So, it is what it is, yeah. Never had a problem with Parker, you know? He fights anybody. He's not the most entertaining fighter, but he's a guy who'll take on all comers, you know? And he travels for fights, so it is what it is, you know? Kolmatov, Ford, Madronov, Kurbanov, Honey, Lorena, Vargas Bull were all really good fights. Granted, Madronov stopped Kurbanov early, maybe a little early. I would have to go and back and watch Vargas Bull. Yeah, the Vargas Bull seems to have split a lot of opinions. Most people seem to think Bull won, but again, it's just one of them fights. You'd really need to look at it closely and look at the clean punches because it's one of them fights. It's a very ugly fight, and it seems to me like a draw could have been a fair result, but I'd have to really look at it and score it objectively, you know? Oh, yeah, my avatar is extremely based. I mean, it's Mr. Dikovic. Do you know, it just occurred to me that Mr. Dikovic could be maybe this was like the most obvious thing ever. Like, he could be a reference to Steve Ditko, who was one of the creators of Spider-Man, who was actually pretty based. If you guys don't know that, Steve Ditko was pretty based. So I've heard anyway. Um, Ruiz Jr. would destroy Ngannou. Yeah, of course he would. He just Ruiz are probably just a slow beating, like stop him in 5 rounds probably. MMA fans are so fruity. A lot of them are. Well, what do you expect? They like watching guys hump each other on the ground, you know. I like MMA, but only when they strike. I don't like all the grappling and rolling about stuff, you know. It's just not my cup of tea. Is what it is. Although weirdly enough, I do like watching sumo wrestling. You know, that is quite entertaining. Maybe that's just because 'cause I'm fat, you know? Is what it is. Also, Ngannou's chin and punch power are ridiculously overrated as well. He literally doesn't punch properly. It just stands out a mile, IMO. Also, Usyk took clean punches off Joshua and never went down. Yeah, yeah, he did. But you see, a lot of that's to do with his positioning. Like Usyk knows how to get into a boxing stance and keep his chin tucked and ride punches, whereas Ngannou just stands there with his hands like wide open and no guard, and just takes the punches full force. So, and plus he moves backwards with his eyes closed, so he's not tensing up and riding the shots. So yeah, that sort of diminishes your chin and takes its, resistance away. Like, your punch resistance a lot of the time is based on your timing and your stance, basically, you know? Charles Martin or Chris Arreola beats Ngannou. Yeah, absolutely, both of them beat him, and I mean right now. Not even those guys at their prime are needed to beat him. I'm talking about those guys right now. Say what you want about those guys, they can both punch and they've both got skills, you know? Ngannou has nothing other than being physically strong. He has no power, no speed, no skill, and no defense. Yeah, he's just a big, strong, roided up guy who's powerful by the standard of an MMA heavyweight with punches, but not a boxing heavyweight, not a world class boxing heavyweight. You know, all the normies. All of the normies thought Ngannou actually stood a chance. Yeah, they did because again, they're brainwashed by the industry to bet on Ngannou. Again, I went to a gym. I don't know if you were here. I was talking about this earlier in the stream. I went to a boxing gym this week, right? And one that I don't normally go to because mine is closed. And there was people who train in the gym talking about this fight and oh, AJ's got no chin and Ngannou can knock him out. And I'm like, are you guys being serious? Like, you would think people who actually box and train boxing and follow the sport would know like a little bit better than that, but clearly they don't. Clearly, there's normies who train and even compete in boxing, you know, because there's a lot of successful amateurs in that gym. Weirdly enough, the coaches wouldn't let me spar, sadly, because I was a member of another gym, which is something I've never heard before. But I might talk about that later if anybody's interested. I've had a very weird week, a very strange week. Basically, I and this will sound worse than it actually is. Basically, I lost my job. It's not exactly it's not exactly that I lost it. It's that my contract ended and the company is not extending my contract because I work seasonal. They're not extending it because apparently they can't afford to keep a full workforce at the moment. So they're making me a sessional staff member now, but I'm not interested because they basically lied to me and said they'd be extending my contract and they didn't. I'm not going back. They can go fuck themselves. But yeah, that happened. So I've been training like mad this week. I've been training every single day. And the days where I've not been in the gym, I've been going swimming, I've been doing like conditioning, I've been doing all sorts. And I was going to this other boxing gym and I was just itching to spar. I wanted to spar so badly. And my coach at my usual gym even told me, go to another gym and try and get some sparring in because he's looking to get me a fight. But when I went to this gym, like the coach asked me if I'd boxed before, and I was like, yeah, yeah, I've boxed before, but and I'm looking to get some sparring. And I told him I shouldn't have told him, right? But I told him I'm a member of another gym, and he's like, oh no, you can't spar here then. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you're a member of another gym, so we don't let, non-members or people who are members of other gyms spar with our fighters." And I'm like, "Well, that's a bit odd. I've never heard that before." So, yeah. It's a bit bizarre, man. It pissed me off. So yeah, I've been itching to punch somebody all week. I've been in a bit of a bad mood, but yeah, I've been denied the opportunity. It is what it is. The fight basically showed how bad Tyson Fury is. Since Joshua washed Francis with no problem, the fight shows how bad Tyson. No, that's not the case. Look, again, do I should I really even engage in this? Should I explain it again? Look, Fury carried the guy. He carried Francis Ngannou. He didn't try to beat him. He just tried to win on points and carry for him. That's all it is. Or carry him. You know, it is what it is. And he's going to make a lot of money if he fights Anthony Joshua. Because I'm telling you, that's a real fight. Fury's going to win it. Still don't care for Joshua, but I wonder what Fury was doing in this fight against Francis. He was just toying with him, playing with him. It was a sparring session. All right, look, Fury could beat Ngannou and AJ on the same night. I genuinely, honestly believe that. Right, you could line them up one by one. He could beat Ngannou and then beat Fury afterwards. I'm not even kidding. Okay, I'm not even kidding. He could. A considerable amount of people online think Ngannou was paid off to get KO'd by AJ. Oh, well, those people are tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists, and they should stop listening to Alex Jones. No, AJ is a boxer and Ngannou is a novice boxer. So the Cameroonian got slept in 5 minutes. That's exactly what happened, because that's what's supposed to happen. When you get a novice who doesn't know how to box, who's had one fight and lost, and he fights a world-class professional heavyweight boxer, he's going to get knocked out early. That's what's going to happen logically, you know? Yeah, my cook mate literally said this morning, time to stop hating AJ and time to start showing him some love. Mate, oh, I want to bitch slap him. I do. Mate, please do me a favor. And no, do you know what? I take that back. I was going to ask you to like physically assault your mate there, but I'm not going to do that because you could get in trouble, and it could get back to me. So nah. But man, I've seen it in the comment section. Oh, the AJ haters are going to be coping and all that. Like the AJ haters. I've seen several comments since the fight saying that. The AJ haters. Like, who is the AJ haters? Who are you talking about? The AJ haters. And most of the people who are saying this stuff are probably white boys anyway. You know, who go, "Oh, Anthony Joshua," drunken, like, pisshead white boy football fans who don't understand that Anthony Joshua said, "Don't shop in their shops," you know? That he actually despises them, and he's just using them to get money, basically, you know? Yeah, Zhang has poor cardio. David Price's was probably worse, though, come to think of it. From me, I think his was actually worse, but yeah, Zhang's is awful, you know? Bro, I'm stealing the spastic norm. He's like, hey, go ahead and use it. I didn't invent the words. I didn't invent the word spastic, and I didn't invent the word normies. I mean, I might be the only person to like use the two term or the two words together. I doubt that too, but I don't know. Is what it is. I mean, I certainly didn't. I didn't like get inspired by anyone else to say it. I started saying it myself. You know, I just think it sounds funny because calling someone a spastic is like, you're just calling someone a retard, whereas you call someone a normie, you're basically just calling them ignorant, essentially. But you put it together, spastic normie. It's like there's a little bit more venom in it, if you know what I mean. People get a little bit more triggered by it, and they deserve to be triggered because they need to be woke up and they need to um, learn a bit of reality, is what it is. He is probably one of, if not the biggest puncher at heavyweight for one shot. Yeah, yeah, he probably is. Like Zhang has legit power. Like he's not that skilled and he's not that fit, but he's got legit power. Oh yeah, yeah. Zhang was lucky that that wasn't a 12-round fight. Like if that was 12 rounds, he'd have gotten stopped in round 11, I think. So yeah, he's lucky that it was only a 10-rounder. It was the lack of stamina that cost him. I know there was other problems for that fight, or so I've heard anyway, that there was other problems, but the lack of stamina was what cost him it. All the normies repeat estrogen filled phrases in the commentary, and mainstream boxing media tell them rebel. Yep, yep, exactly. They have no opinion. That's the problem with normies. They have no opinion of their own. They've got no personality. They've got no moral standard. Right? Everything that these people believe, think, and say, and perpetuate, all comes, and everything else about them all comes from the mainstream media and whatever is the generally accepted status quo. That's what these people are all about. That's what they think. Okay, is what it is. And I was talking about my work situation earlier. Well, yeah, I had a bit of a run in with the HR department at my work over race matters, which which might explain why they didn't extend my contract. Again, I'll talk about that later. But again, it was this normie situation. Basically, I had a run in with normies at my work over something, and I was the only one with a backbone to speak up for everybody. I would say Zhang does carry that 290 well. Doesn't look super fat, but yeah, he needs to shed some pounds for sure. Yeah, he's got good genetics. Like he's a guy who's got a lot of excess body fat, but he doesn't have like a big pot belly or big tits. He kind of stores it all like evenly throughout his body. But it's not even just the fat that's the problem. It's the fact that it's like superfluous weight, and he doesn't really train it. Like he looks to me like he doesn't really train for cardio, and probably doesn't do many like breathing exercises. I'm not saying he has to be like a big muscular bodybuilder like AJ or Ngannou. I think he just needs to do a lot more sparring and learn how to pace himself over a 12-round fight because that'll build up his stamina. Like you should be able to go 12 rounds in a fight if you're a professional. Especially a world class professional. Oh yeah, Dillian White fighting Christian Hammer. Christian Hammer's completely shot. Like in his prime, he'd have had a chance, but he's completely shot now. He'll probably lose. A lot of people thought so. Um, Sorry, where was it? Thoughts on Marlon Starling? Don't know really much about him, to be honest. Don't know much about him. Parker has made some improvements, but he'll never be an elite guy. I agree. I agree. Yeah, how's it going, man? Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Just in a bit of a bad mood. Sick of all the normies. Sick of all the normies. After Zhang defeat to Parker, I think AJ would probably KO Zhang in 7 rounds. Um, you got to give Zhang a puncher's chance, but yeah, if he gets tired like that against AJ, who hits a lot harder than Parker, he's getting stopped in the late rounds probably. I think. I'm glad Nick Ball didn't get the decision. He fought dirty the whole fight. He's a typical Scouse thug, yeah. Yeah, him being a Scouse just automatically makes me dislike him because when I think of Scouse, I think of like people who watch. I think of either Tony Bellew or people who watch Hollyoaks and stuff like these retard normies and talk about, oh, the far right, we need to stop the far right, they're harming our children. Those people, same people that are pro-abortion, so they've got no problem with child murder. But they've got a big problem with your child being a white fundamentalist. Those retards, honestly. Ngannou failed the eye test so badly I felt the Fury fight was fixed or some type of agreement for Fury to carry him. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Some of us told you that at the time. Some of us did, and we were called conspiracy theorists. You're a white fundamentalist. That's what we were. That's what we were called. It's conspiracy theory. You're crazy to think a fight like Haney Ryan or anything involving four cans is real. Yeah, mate. Any fight involving Tank Davis, Tiafimo, Ryan, or who's that? Who's the other one? The flipping baboon, Haney. Yeah, the comments there. Any fight involving those four is probably just a fix. Probably. Triple G is my favorite fighter. I like your pound for pound. Starling was ahead of his time, as I wasn't alive when he was fighting. Yeah, I don't know much about him either. Yeah, I did. Kevin Lorena through the Dubois fight. Oh, did he fight last night? Who did Kevin Lorena fight? I didn't even know he was fighting. Or maybe I heard about it and completely forgot. Ryan Garcia is just an actor who's been who's probably got ties to the CIA, just like his buddy Andrew Tate, and they're just throwing us a bone talking about Bohemian Grove, but they won't tell us everything that goes on at Bohemian Grove. They'll only tell us, the more fanciful side of it to just get all the normies talking. There's even normies in the right wing conservative movement too. Don't be fooled by those people either. Those people are just as ignorant as the other normies on the other side. They still vote. They still think politics is anything but a bread and circus act. They still think it's real. Ryan Garcia is just placating to those people. Oh yeah, yeah. I think Dillian White probably by stoppage. Unless Hammer just runs all night like he did against Povetkin. That's the only way it goes the distance. Bit of a mismatch. I'm a very big MMA fan, but yeah, I only like the striking. Yeah, that's how I see it. I can't be. I got too little time on my hands to sit and watch people hugging on the ground. Like I appreciate the skill and the dedication it takes, like the wrestling, the strength, and all that other stuff. But I just don't really want to sit and watch it. It's not my thing, not my cup of tea. You know. Ryan did a series about 12 base tweets. Then he went on Instagram and said he would only talk about boxing while wearing a crown of thorns. Look, he's a CIA plan. That's all you need to know. He's a CIA plan, just like Andrew Tate. And he's not even worth. Screw Ryan Garcia. I'm not interested in that little homo. Anything that little homo has to say, I'm not interested. You know? Yeah, yeah, of course he does. Yeah. Ngannou quality of punches is too poor for him to have any serious power in heavyweight boxing. Yeah, because when you've been trained in MMA, a sport that allows like headlocking a guy, throwing him to the floor, leaning all your weight on him, and wearing basically those little I don't know how what like 2-ounce gloves or whatever it is they wear, and then you're forced to put on 10-ounce gloves and fight a world class heavyweight boxer. Your power isn't going to be the same. It is what it is. I always said a light heavy or even a middleweight boxer hits harder than Ngannou and takes a better punch when he was the new hype job in the UFC. People are clueless. Yeah, because look, the UFC, they know their audience and they know how to market guys and build guys and basically make them into a star, like a big pay-per-view star, without them really being that good. There's a lot of guys in the UFC who have like dubious MMA records at best. Some of them have losing records, but the records are basically manipulated to sell these guys because they have a certain image. And obviously, Ngannou has a certain image that the UFC wanted to promote, so they made sure they got him the right developmental fights and the right wins at the right time, and they maneuvered him into position. And now he's basically cashing in on his fame and just fighting fights that he has no business in, complete mismatches in. If they sanction Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, the athletic commission and people around should be arrested. Um, how old is Mike Tyson now? He must be like closing in on 60, right? So I don't think the commission, wherever that fight's taking place, would even be able to sanction it. Like maybe if the fight was in Russia or somewhere like that, they could sanction it. But I don't think in America, a guy who's closing in on 60 would be able to qualify for an actual professional boxing license. So I just think it'll be an exhibition, most likely. That's what I think it'll be. Ngannou has serious power, but a skilled boxer is not going to sit and wait for the punch. Yeah, he has serious power for an MMA guy, but again, you put big gloves on him and put him against a professional heavyweight boxer and a world class heavyweight boxer at that. It's going to be a big different story. Didn't he boast some incoherent stuff? I know he spoke to Andrew Tate as well and mentioned some really disturbing stuff. Look, what was disturbing about we all know about Bohemian Grove, right? We all know that it's a place where these politicians and elite level, fucking, elite businessmen go and have like these mock rituals and these like satanic sacrifices. We know that, right? That's been known for a couple of decades now, and it's obviously being used to distract from what really goes on there and from what these elites really get up to. Ryan Garcia, look, like I said, he's a CIA plan, okay, just like Andrew Tate. It's really not worth delving into. Okay, it's really worth focusing on things you can actually change and that you've actually got some kind of control over. Mike Tyson will take a dive against Jake Paul. Even Mike at his age should knock out that complete fraud bomb. Oh, I don't doubt that Mike Tyson could knock out Jake Paul in a real fight, even at 58. As long as he stayed in shape, as long as he's in reasonably good health, he still has the speed and the power to knock out Jake Paul. But if it goes past a couple rounds, he's not going to have the stamina. So Jake Paul could legitimately beat him at this stage. But I don't know, man. If you're into those like freak show exhibitions, it could be somewhat interesting. I won't be watching it. I've got no interest in it. I expect the same. Second entirely coherent and sober rant, he also tweeted about the elites auctioning off kids and about how Balenciaga means Baal is king. Yeah. Yeah, well, he's right about that, isn't he? But again, what tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist doesn't already know that, eh? Oh, Anthony Joshua. Mate, that's just white boy, like drunk British football fan degeneracy. That's what that is. It's normie chants. You think they come up with something interesting, like, oh, worry, worry. Worry, 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 Warrington. Like, that one's more interesting, at least. Like, oh, Anthony Joshua is just so boring and cliche. Just so boring. It might as well be, oh, Anthony Crawler. It's the same thing. It's just boring, you know? Oh, Anthony Joshua. No, man. Eddie Hearn is trying to say no one beats the supposed best version of Joshua. Yeah, no one except for Usyk and Andy Ruiz, right? No one except them. Or was that the best version? I don't know. If Tyson Fury wins, if there's enough money on the line, and I'm pretty certain Fury will win. Pretty certain of it. He posted several articles about missing kids, about how celebs can't sell their soul because it belongs to God. Yeah, well, they should already know that. Of course, your soul belongs to God. Of course, it does. And the next day, he posted a robotic video saying he'd only talk about sports and boxing. Yeah, that's to again, it's to just throw us a bone and get us all talking about it. That's what it is. I went to some watch party event for the AJ and Ngannou fight, and everyone was chanting AJ's name. Yeah, were they all going, "Oh, Anthony Joshua, oh, Anthony Joshua"? Oh man. Oh, I've come close to assaulting him before. He's a cock loser. Well, furthermore, his GF fancies the pants off of AJ, and he is constantly making jokes about how she likes watching AJ flex his sexy muscles. Yeah. Yeah, she's probably like when she's in bed with him, she's probably thinking about AJ's big black cock and just wishing it was that. What a shame. Is he white, this guy? Like, he sounds like he's probably white, isn't he? Probably. He's probably one of these white cocks who goes, "Oh, Anthony Joshua." He's probably one of them. Oh, Anthony Joshua. I've seen him too. I have a playlist watching the 147, 154 division from the 80s. Very talented. Sucks that Donald Curry doesn't get talked about that much in higher regard. Oh yeah, Curry was a great fighter back in the day. Great for his era. Yeah, Bakoli has a bit more cardio than Zhang. His cardio isn't great, but it's definitely better than Zhang. He can go 12 rounds at a much higher pace than Zhang can. Like, Zhang's a slightly better boxer, slightly bigger puncher, but Akoli has much better stamina, and I think that would give him a good chance if they fought. I guess AJ does have quite a lot of haters, but most of them are silly Fury fanboys. So yeah, you can't read in that. Yeah, look, it's not even worth bringing up AJ haters because, like you say, AJ haters are just these autistic Fury fans. The autistic people who have like that obsession with Tyson Fury because I don't know what it is. For some reason, Tyson Fury really appeals. Like he really appeals to autistic people. I've noticed that. I don't know why it is, but yeah, is it really even worth like bringing up those people? I don't think so. These people with the stats. Tyson Fury is the youngest British heavyweight champion, 6'9", 275 pounds. Has this kind of reach. Was the first man to stop this individual journeyman. Stopped this individual journeyman in this many rounds. And in this fight, took this percentage of punches, which is slightly less than that percentage of punches took by this other fighter. And like those are I'm talking about these autistic weirdos that are just like sycophantically obsessed with Tyson Fury and constantly bring up the statistics of his career. Those people are everywhere, and I'm just are they even worth bringing up? But like again, AJ fanboys are so like insecure that they seem to think like every boxing fan is like that. I don't know. It's just so strange. Like boxing just brings out the weird types of people, doesn't it? Like there's so many weird people involved in boxing. I mean, look at me, I'm a weirdo and I'm involved with boxing. Yeah, you can look at me. How's it going? Yeah. Should I do this? Should I do this whole one on camera? Do you guys want to see my face? I mean, I'm sure you don't, because who would? But you can see me having a can. I don't particularly like going on camera. I'm a little bit camera shy. So now you can look at Mr. Dickovich. The Coley has gone missing, yeah. Yeah, I'm expecting him to come back bigger and badder than ever, though, because you never know. He's one of them heavyweight division. Anything can happen. Oh yeah, he knows Marlon Starling. That's good. Awesome. Sorry, Nordic. I'd like Fury to win, but I see him getting embarrassed when he fights Usyk. Well, come back and see me afterwards, because I'm pretty certain Fury's going to win that fight. Pretty certain. Zhang would have won that last night if his fitness was of a better standard. The last 4 rounds, he literally did next to nothing. Yeah, it was just like the Hrgovic fight. Exactly, very, very similar fight, where what cost Zhang the fight was his lack of stamina. Okay, so look, you can have all the power in the world, but you can't get a guy out of there. You're going to need the conditioning to go 12 rounds. You're going to need the stamina to work for 12 rounds. I can go 12 rounds in a boxing ring. So why can't a world-class heavyweight boxer do so? You would think he would be able to. Yeah, I think Fury's going to win against Ngannou versus Mark Demore. Do you know Mark Demore is one of the few professional boxers I would give Ngannou a very good chance of beating. So yeah, I give him a very good chance of beating Mark Demore. So yeah, favoring Ngannou there. What do you make of right? Yeah, I've covered that situation. I've got nothing else to say about it, really. You know, hopefully we never have to see Dewey Cooper again. That guy's in it. Who's Dewey Cooper? I don't even know who that is. Who is that? Never heard the name before, I don't think. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he'd probably beat Mark Demore, probably. Yeah, how's it going, Friesen? God bless you, bro. Good to see you, man. Been a while. God bless you. Lorena fought Justice Honey, a prospect. Lorena hurt him badly several times, but when he did, he just stood there looking at Honey and went on to lose a decision. Yeah, well, that's what he did against Dubois. Hurt him, dropped him, and then just stood and did nothing and lost. Is what it is. He's a Kevin Lorena. He's a professional jobber. That's what he is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He fought Justice Honey. Oh, he lost. Oh, this guy thinks he lost. I ain't watched it, so I don't know. Probably won't watch it, to be honest. If you didn't know the location, White is fighting in an Irish hotel. Oh, is he? Yeah, I hear he's licensed to fight in the UK again. I'm expecting he'll just cash out. He'll get a big fight and he'll probably cash out, you know? Not that he needs the money. He got paid very well to fight Fury, so he could retire now, but he's just filling the numbers in and getting the rest of the money in before he retires. You know, he can be a professional neat, you know. That's what he can be. This Bohemian Grove, WEF, Council on Foreign Nations, Bilderberg Group stuff all seems like a distraction from what actually runs our countries. See, that's the most blackpilling thing about the whole thing is if they didn't want us to know about this stuff, we wouldn't. You know, if they didn't want us to know about Epstein and these islands where they take children to traffic them, we wouldn't know about it. And anybody who mentions it would just be called a conspiracy theorist, you know? So that's the blackpilling thing about it. Okay, they're giving us nuggets of truth and bits of information that's really useless to us. It is what it is. Yeah, Tyson 58. I see. Way too old to get a boxing license in America, I think. Unless I'm wrong about that. Has that ever happened before? I know Mickey Rourke got a license to fight in Russia when he was like 62, but that's in Russia. I don't think he would have gotten that license in America. But maybe I'm wrong about it. The characteristics of the elite is not their allegiance to Satan and the occult. It's not their small hats. Yeah, there's more to it than that, you know. Yeah, exactly. Basic truth is look when Alex Jones snuck into Bohemian Grove. Well, I say snuck in quotations. Snuck in. Really, they let him in. You know, they just put the story out there on purpose, and it became somewhat mainstream. You know, and clearly it was some sort of distraction. Let's go. Got something to listen to before UFC. Yeah, good to see you here, man. God bless you. The reason the elite is almost exclusively small hat is they have a long history of satanic ritual and a whole subset of their religion dedicated to occult magic. Yeah. Yeah, certainly. Mike Tyson, 57th, 58 on the 30th of June. All right, so he's close to 58 then. All right, then. Yeah, I can't see him getting a license to box professionally then. But who knows? Maybe they'll make an exception for Mike Tyson just based on his name. But who knows? What do I know? Here's what it is. Alone, we know who's really running the show. Just do a Wikipedia check, early life check on the WEF CFR attendees. Yeah. Yeah, of course. They're like Trump, but the climate change vaccine 15-minute say version. Yeah. Fury looks to be in great shape coming into the Usyk fight. I've been saying how he needs to lose at least 20 or 30 pounds if he wants a chance to win. To be honest, I think he could come in at 280, 290 and still win. Look, Fury carries the weight very well. He's still got great stamina, you know? Of course, he's white. Complete loser. Bottom feeder, yeah. Yeah, he sounds the type, yeah. Certainly does. People acting surprised that Zhang has stamina issues when the guy's 40 years old, 290 pounds, yeah. But yeah, there's plenty. To be fair, there's plenty of big 40-year-olds in boxing who can box. Like maybe not guys who are 290 pounds. You know, they can't really box for 12 rounds at a good pace. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Dewey Cooper is Ngannou's boxing trainer. You may recognize the face. I've probably seen the guy, but I've never heard the name, or at least I don't recall hearing the name. You know. We need Ngannou versus Trevor Bryan for the WBC silver title. Yeah, you know, Trevor Bryan's a guy Ngannou could maybe beat. You know, he's kind of Mark Demori level, maybe a little bit better. You know, so yeah, that could be a winnable fight for him. And he could say he beat former world champion Trevor Bryan. Maybe he could fight Christopher Lovejoy. That'd be a good win for him if he could get it. I think he could win that. What's the best governmental system? Well, it's got to be a constitutional republic. Can't think of anything better that would be practical in any way. That's the only practical way you could run a country now, you know. Shout out to Lee Talks Boxing. Good to see you here, brother. God bless you, man. Another dreadful night of boxing last night, yeah. But again, we got a result that was logical, you know. We had an 0-1 MMA guy getting brutally knocked out by a world class heavyweight in 2 rounds. I mean, it's really what anybody with a functioning brain should have suspected, or along those lines anyway. But yeah, good to see you here, man. Well, my non-black nigga, how are you doing today? Yeah, I'm doing great, man. My end, I'm doing great. How's it going, Red Glove Militant? Not seen you in a while, man. How you been? God bless you. God bless you, man. Ryan seems to be more under the influence because I doubt it was his idea of riding in a white horse in all white. If you know what he's alluding to, John's revelation. Yeah, yeah, maybe he's under the influence then. Imagine what Klitschko's would do to the heavyweights of this golden age, mate. Let's say if Vladimir Klitschko was in his prime right now, I could see him dominating for the next 10 years. Like, you imagine what he would have done to Ngannou. Does that fight even last 30 seconds? I mean, not if Vladimir didn't want it to. If it didn't want it to. Giga would be yeah, Giga would beat Ngannou. Of course he would. Of course he would. Paul versus Mike Tyson taking place in Texas. So will the Texas Boxing Commission, the Texas Boxing Commission corrupt enough to give a 58-year-old a boxing license? I wonder. Like a professional boxing license. Francis Ngannou said he didn't feel the punch. Yeah, I bet he didn't feel the punch because he was probably numb. Like if I got shot in the head with a bloody magnum, I wouldn't feel it. I wouldn't feel the shot in the head from a magnum, you know? Like if someone put a sawn off shotgun in my mouth and blew my brains out, I wouldn't feel it. I looked him up and he was a boxer as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The kickboxer, the trainer of Ngannou. You mean Inoue versus Pitbull? Do you mean Inoue versus Luis Nery? I think Inoue knocks him out. I think that's a mismatch. I think Luis Nery, by comparison to Inoue, is a bit of a punching bag. I think he'll take a beating and get knocked out or stopped late. I think most likely. Serrano being TKO'd by hair dye made me sad. What is that, a woman fight? I didn't see it. No idea. Yeah, how's it going, man? Yeah, I'm not bad. God bless you too, brother. Yeah, I've been all right. Little bit of a frustrating week, as I talked about earlier. Had some issues, but yeah, I've been training my ass off, so I'm feeling good. My energy's really, really good right now. Feeling great. Just been working hard. Yeah, bring back Vitali. Vitali in his prime would just punish these guys, give them a beat until they quit or got stopped. Like every single one of like these Ngannou and Charles Martin, these guys wouldn't get a look in. Shows the state of boxing fans when people are calling Vargas versus Ball a robbery. Andre Ward would have been proud of Ball's performance. Yeah, yeah. Maybe Ball was inspired by Ward and his fighting style. Vitali was the better brother of the two. No one really beat Vitali fairly. Yeah, that's true. But to be fair, Vladimir fought a lot better competition. I mean, Vitali never fought the likes of Povetkin and Pulev and guys like that. And they would have been tough fights later on in his career. He never fought a lot of the guys that Vladimir fought. Like Hasim Rahman, obviously AJ and Fury later on. He never fought guys like Marius Wack. Massive guy with a chin. There was a lot of like styles of fighters that Vladimir fought that it would have been interesting to see Vitali in with. I know that Vitali also fought Samuel Peter and did better, but styles make fights, and there's a lot of guys that we saw Vladimir in with different styles. Guys like Chagayev and guys like Ibragimov, guys like that. Just guys I would have liked to have seen how Vitali would have compared in terms of performance. So I'm really not sure who was better. I think to know really who was better, would have need to have seen more examples of them fighting the same guys. Like Vitali did better against, obviously, Corey Sanders and Samuel Peter, but Again, styles make fights, so I'm not really sure. Here's what it is. Tyson really should not have been in the ring with Lennox Lewis. Yeah, I think he was shot by then. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he would have ever beaten Lennox Lewis, but I do think in his prime he'd have had a better chance. Like he'd have had a puncher's chance, and he probably would have lasted a bit longer, and lost less rounds. I was happy when Bull didn't win. He fought like the Scouse thug that he is. Yeah, yeah. We don't like Scouse thugs. We don't. That's the last thing we need in boxing is another Tony Bellew. You know, Vitali would have put Ngannou in a hospital for a month like Shannon Briggs. Yeah. See, Vitali probably wouldn't have knocked him out in the first round. Vitali would have just used him to get the rounds in, and he would have allowed him to go the distance. Well, not go the distance, but go late so that he could get more advertising revenue. Because that's what Vitali used to do. Like, because he had so many like sponsors and like advertising um banners like in the arena and advertising on the mat and stuff like that. And that he used to carry guys late in fights. That's why he carried Shannon Briggs and Carlos Gomez and guys like that late in fights, Thomas Adamek and whatnot. He used to carry these guys late. If you look at even when he fought Samuel Peter, could have taken him out any time, but he carried him late. And I'm trying to think of other fights where he did that. Kevin Johnson, again, it's because he gets so much more money from ad revenue if the fights go late. Like, go and watch those fights and you'll see what I mean. Vitali did like to carry guys late. So I think he would have probably done that with Ngannou, and won every single round. Like, look at the Chisora fight too. Like, Chisora was bleeding out the mouth against Vitali, but Vitali still didn't push for the stoppage. He just carried him and outboxed him and won on points. Yeah, Francis ain't wrong there. You ain't gonna feel something if you going to sleep on Impact. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Vander Holyfield got a license to fight Vitor Belfort in Florida at like 58. Yeah, but wasn't that an exhibition? I don't think that was actually an officially licensed professional contest. I think that was just an exhibition. It was same as the Anderson Silva fight, which was that on the same night? Did Anderson Silva fight on the same night? David Hay, when he fought that nightclub owner, Joe Fournier, it was like that. It was just an exhibition, like an 8-round exhibition. I don't think it was actually a legally sanctioned pro fight. So I think it's a little bit different. Like Mike Tyson, yeah, he can very well get a permit to fight Jake Paul in a boxing match, but it won't be. My point is that it probably won't be a legally officially sanctioned professional fight. Is all I'm saying. Like, I don't think it will actually go on Mike Tyson's record. You know, I don't think so anyway, or Jake Paul's record for that matter. I could be wrong. I'm skeptical about it. Ball should have been deducted a point as well when he threw Vargas on the floor. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of them things where it's up to the referee's discretion, because if a fighter clinches and you throw them to the floor, technically it's illegal to throw them to the floor, but you could have an argument that the clinch was what caused it and you were trying to break the clinch. So yeah, there's a bit of grey area there, if you know what I mean. Inoue versus Pitbull Cruz at 130. I'd go with Inoue, but it would be hard at 130, I'd have to say, because of the size difference. You can tell Nick Ball has little man syndrome, just like Sonny. Well, he'd have to have that. He's a bloody dwarf. The guy's 6'2". Need a step ladder to fight like an average sized human being. An average sized man. Dewey Cooper reminds me of King Willie from Predator 2. That's quite funny, man. Shit happens. Like I like Predator 2. I think it's a little bit underrated, actually. Like, it's nowhere near as good as the first film. Like, it's got absolutely nothing on the first film, but it's one of them films that's kind of like unintentionally funny, if you know what I mean. Like, you know how the Predator goes into the city, like he's in the first movie, he's in the concrete jungle, or he's in the jungle. The second movie, he's in the concrete jungle. And instead of hunting like mercenaries and military guys, he's hunting all the gangs and basically just wiping them all out. He's like a vigilante. He's kind of like the Punisher. if you know what I mean. But it's kind of, if you know what I mean, it's like he's inadvertently cleaning up the city, even though all he's doing is hunting and trying to take out who he perceives to be like the biggest threat, because it's kind of like a warrior culture that he comes from, where the hunter becomes the hunted. Inadvertently, he's kind of cleaning up the city, and I find that so funny. I think that's a really interesting concept. So I really enjoy that movie. Like, I'll need to watch that again, Predator 2. I've not seen it in a few years, but I've got the DVD. I'd like to watch it. It's an interesting one. But yeah, it's not as great as the first film. The first film is a lot better. It really is. First film's a lot better. Um, Povetkin in his prime puts a lot of these dudes out. I happened to rewatch a number of Povetkin fights. Didn't watch much of him when he was live. I was 11 when he fought Klitschko. How old was I when he fought Klitschko? I think I was 18 or 19. I might have been 19 when he fought Klitschko, I think. Yeah, 2013 that fight was. But yeah, Povetkin was one of these guys who his punching technique was so perfect and his timing was so great that when he would land a shot, his knockouts were iconic. Like, you were out cold and you knew the fight was over as soon as his punches landed, with the right sort of momentum and force, you know? Very, very accurate and technically sound fighter, you know? I mean, who do you think will win if Inoue and Pitbull fought? Yeah, I'd pick Inoue. Yeah, no doubt about it. There's a good interview with Chris Bird where he talks about the comparison between Vlad, Vitali. Said Vitali was tougher and more awkward, but Vlad hit 3 times harder. Oh yeah, there's no doubt that Vitali had the better chin, but Vladimir was a considerably harder puncher. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Someone told me that the medical team asked Ngannou after the fight how many fingers they were holding up. Apparently, he said Sunday. What? Is that how confused he was? You know, what do you expect? I've roided up like stationary target MMA bum. You know, a guy who's 0-1 in boxing, fighting a world class professional heavyweight boxer. He's going to get knocked out early if it's a real fight. Here's what it is. You know, what do you expect? Did you see that Eubank Jr. versus Crawford is apparently a done deal? Really? Are you winding me up? Like, I can't see that fight happening. I mean, I'll be surprised if it does, you know? At what weight as well? Would Fury beat Lennox Lewis prime for prime? Do you know, I would give Fury a very good chance of outboxing Lennox and potentially winning on points. The problem is that Lennox was very, very persistent and very, very strong. And I could see him landing a big shot at some point and turning it round and getting the knockout. But I think if it's Fury at his absolute best versus Lewis at his absolute best, I would favor Fury on points. I think he would get through like some scary moments in there. I think he would fight his way through it, and I think he'd win on points. So yeah, I favor Fury on points, and that's how I see it. I can't believe people think Zhang versus Parker was a real fight. Zhang accidentally knocked him down with 2 weak punches and otherwise did nothing. Yeah, I mean, you could be right, but again, it's like I was talking about earlier. It's consistent with what we know about Zhili Zhang. We know he's a low volume, low output fighter, and we know that he has poor stamina, right? And we know that as a fight goes on, he falls apart, he gets clumsy, and he gets uncoordinated, because that's what happens when you're not particularly fit or athletic. So, you know, you have to expect that. I mean, he didn't really throw a lot of punches against Joyce either, did he? So, you know, he made every punch count, but he didn't throw that many. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was a real fight, to be honest. I mean, at the same time, I wouldn't look, it'll be hypocritical of me to call you a conspiracy theorist and say it wasn't a real fight, but you know, yeah, I just something tells me my gut instinct tells me that was a real fight, and it went how I thought it would go. I thought that Parker would survive an early scare to win on points, so it is what it is. I'll need to look at it closely to get back to you on it with a more informed opinion. You know, the Vitali versus Briggs fight was another display of the incompetence of Ian John Lewis. I watched that fight last week, and yeah, it was as one-sided a beating as you'll see in heavyweight boxing without a knockout. You know, it was just brutal, one-sided fight. You know, shout out to Fight Film. How's it going, man? God bless you. Y'all just hating Nagano. Nagano, I like that. A fight with Eubank Jr. would probably be Crawford's first ever fight to prove his pound for pound status. Yeah, but could you like? I mean, if Terence Crawford is putting rehydration clauses on guys like Kavalauskas and Kell Brook, can you imagine the rehydration clause he's going to put on Eubank Jr.? Eubank Jr. will be like a skeleton in that ring if it happens, you know. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets stopped in the first round, you know. Yeah, what is happening with Hughie Fury? I've not heard about Hughie Fury in ages, man. Don't know what's happening with him. He's completely disappeared, you know. Maybe he's just realized that boxing isn't really for him. It's up to him, you know. If he doesn't want to box anymore, it's up to him. Oh, that's good. How was I? Do you think a feather-fisted heavyweight like Otto Wallin could KO Prime David Price? No, Otto Wallin couldn't KO Price, but what he could do is stop him on his feet, kind of like Tony Thompson did in the second fight. I think that's probably what would happen. Price would outbox him for a few rounds, but he would get tired, and yeah, he would start to back him up a bit, and he would probably stop him on his feet. You know, that's probably what would happen. They drew because the Ray and Ball. Yeah, Jake Paul is awful. Again, Jake Paul doesn't have any stamina either. He's more of a bodybuilder, which is why these guys don't really apply much pressure. Because if they did, they'd probably stop him. You know, and then the economy that he's built up, you know, by selling his fights would start to go away. You know, imagine a Prime Vlad would have done to AJ or Fury. A Prime Vlad knocks AJ out inside of 4 rounds, in my opinion. Against Fury, he probably stops him late. Has a few problems early on, catches him midway, drops him, breaks him down, stops him late. I say from like round 7 to 12. Vladimir stoppage, I think. I didn't watch Roman Fury. No interest in watching that fight. Fury would still give Prime Vlad. Yeah, I think he'd give him problems. I don't think he'd win. I think Prime Vlad stops him late. I think when when Huey's 40, people will be saying he's a baby. Give him time. Yeah, he's only 24. He's only 24. That's what they were saying. I think Fury could decision Lennox Lewis. Yeah, I agree. I think he could. Lennox had a big size advantage. These guys are big. Yeah. I think Fury could win on points. Could see him getting knocked out, but I think he could beat Lennox on points. Don't think he would beat Vlad prime for prime though. I'd pick Vlad by knockout over Lennox. I would. Yeah. I think prime Vlad would stop Fury. Vlad wins a late stoppage. I think against Fury. I do. How do you think Europe should solve the immigrant problem? There's nothing there's no way you can solve it. No way whatsoever. Look, you speak up against it, and well, you end up in my position right now. Did I talk about this earlier? Do you know? I'm not even gonna get into it. Yeah, but yeah, you guys know I'm not working at the moment. Um, I don't have my job right now. Well, yeah, that has something to do with it. So yeah, I'll talk about it in great detail one day. You know, there's not much you can do about it. One thing I would say about the Ngannou thingy, and this is it, how he did gain a little bit more actual and realistic experience than the Paul has overall from the looks of it. Well, you know, he had a legit MMA career, so yeah, that alone gives him more experience than Jake Paul, who's just an actor, you know? Of course it does, you know? Has that Zhang fight wasn't a fix, bro. He's done that multiple times before. He knocked down Jerry Forrest 3 times. didn't have the stamina to finish, and it ended up being a draw. Yeah, exactly. That to me was perfectly consistent with what we know about Zhili Zhang. That so I don't know if it was a fix. I'd need to look at it closely, but yeah, that's how I see it. I sometimes go back to the Hatman meltdown video after Klitschko versus Povetkin. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like Hatman, but that's a funny video. Like that, if you just want to see like an absolute mental breakdown, like a schizo rant, like a genuine schizo rant, and a genuine like just off the rails, like just complete rambling. Go and listen to Hatman's Klitschko versus Povetkin post fight video. So funny, so funny. Yeah, Povetkin was a badass, true warrior. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Yep, he had real one punch power. No chat, no doubt. He certainly did. Wilder wanted no part of Povetkin. Yeah, they had to set him up with fake drug tests. You know, that's what they had to do. Cookerman, salute. Yeah, yeah, salute to Max Cookerman, man. God bless you. Yeah, shout out to Reverse Lee, man. God bless you here. Give me rent. You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door. An orange. That's just got to be one of the most random yet funny lines of dialogue ever in a movie, isn't it? An orange. Yeah, Parker versus Dubois would be somewhat interesting. I'd favour Parker to make him quit late, but you know Dubois' power and size might give him give Parker some problems early on, and it would be interesting. Yeah, I do think before the shoulder injury, Vitali was a bigger puncher than he was later on, but he improved his like fitness and his boxing technique and skills later on, you know. So it was a bit of a double-edged sword, you know. Yeah, Povetkin would have knocked out Wilder, no doubt about it. I think Ngannou would lose to Victor Charvakal, who is 5-12, right? I don't even know who that is. But if he won 5 fights at heavyweight, he would probably beat Ngannou. Probably. Eubank Jr. posted it on his Insta, and that he fight with the fight with Crawford be at 160 pounds. I think Michael Benson also said it was a done deal, but Crawford hasn't confirmed anything. Yeah, Eubank just probably wants a dive money. He wants a cash out check that he might have got against Conor Benn, you know. But Crawford and Eubank are trained by the same fat guy. Yeah, aren't they both trained by Bomac? I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a bit weird. I don't know, man. I think Eubank will probably take a dive, to be honest. How do you think Philippe Hrgovic could beat Anthony Joshua? Well, I would favour Joshua to beat Hrgovic, but I think the best chance Hrgovic would have is to try and outlast Joshua. So take him into the later rounds and start applying pressure, you know, working the body gradually and try to break him down and stop him late. That would be his best chance. I don't think he would do it personally, but I think he could potentially do it, you know. I love to see 2003 Vitali versus 2020 Fury. I think Vitali could outpoint Fury in a great fight. Yeah, I agree. I think because both guys are tall, both guys are slick and awkward, but Vitali is like prime for prime. Vitali's much faster and hits much harder and has a much better chin. And both guys have got great stamina, but I think the power and the durability of Vitali would be the difference. So I could see him dropping Fury a couple of times. Don't think he'd stop him, but I think he'd drop him a couple of times and win on points. So yeah, he'd win on points most likely. Precise, you still got me blocked, big dog. Yeah, Friesen, don't start. Right, look, what one first and final warning: don't start. I'm not in the mood for this shit today. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. Here's what it is. Not in the mood for that shit. Right. I don't get excited for anything besides Japanese fights. Well, yeah, they're usually some of the best fights in it in boxing. The Japanese fights, you know, these guys just, you know, death before dishonor, and they start battering each other until one of them just quits. You know, it's and neither of them do. You got to knock them out cold to make them quit. Like you literally got to knock them out cold. These guys are some of these guys are like a warrior culture. That's the vibe I get watching Inoue and guys like that. You know. Crawford Eubank Jr. at 147, yeah. Now, I'm assuming if it happens, it'll be like 155 or something crazy like that. I don't think Eubank could even like if Eubank did get down to 147, he would be at a risk of his heart giving out on him or something. That's like anorexic type weight cut, is what it is. Good point on the Crawford weight game. Maybe Eubank doesn't take it after all, unless Eubank could take the fight if he's not really keen on or interested in winning. He just wants a payday for retirement, a dive. Yeah, probably does. Firstly, I hear you only a fight or two year gets my interest nowadays. Yeah, very few fights get my interest. Very few. One fight I was excited about was the Sam Eggington Abbas Baru fight. That was a great fight. That lived up to expectations. I really enjoyed it. It was a great fight. That's probably fight of the year so far. And I doubt there'll really be much better. There might be something better, but I doubt there'll be much better. Ever stayed at a travel lodge hotel by any chance? I stayed in one last night, and the money value is very good. If you ask me, yeah, I've stayed in travel lodge before. When I stayed in Edinburgh, me and my missus used to spend a week in Edinburgh sometimes, and we stayed in a travel lodge. We usually go to Premier Inn though, because we're usually able to get better deals on a Premier Inn, even though travel lodge is generally cheaper. I think you get a little bit more for your money with a Premier Inn. Like the facilities tend to be a little bit better, and they sometimes have better deals. Like if you're just going for a weekend or something. So yeah, we've done that before. Newer viewer here. Yeah, good to see you here, man. Do you enjoy any other sports or forms of combat? You just love boxing. Mostly just boxing. I'm not a massive fan of MMA, not a big fan of it, but I'll watch it from time to time. I don't really watch any other sport consistently. It's not really my thing. Mass deportation is the only solution, yeah, but it'll never happen. It'll never happen. It's completely impractical. What are you gonna do? Get the military in and round up every immigrant? It's impossible. It's literally impossible for that to work in this day and age in the West. It will never work. So, got to be a more sophisticated solution. Something that's actually feasible. Bomac versus Boogie. Yeah, yeah. Bomac versus Boogie 2998 would be interesting. I'd probably favor Bomac, like, because Boogie 2998. I don't think that guy can even stand for more than a couple of minutes without needing to sit down. Every single political comment I leave gets hidden on here. Gotta love YouTube. Yeah, I mean, welcome to my world. Join the club. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. What did Hatman have against Vlad? Oh well, he was big, white, and was knocking out all the black guys. So what do you expect? Of course, a black supremacist like Hatman was going to have a problem with that. And again, he used to have a mental breakdown like every time Vladimir fought. Oh, Jack Johnson versus Ngannou. Ngannou by a first round knockout. Completely different levels. Every single political comment I leave on here. Wait, I already read that. No, it's the same comment again. Zhang's trainer was reading the riot act to him after the 11th round, telling him to pull his finger out and get out there and stop Parker for the 12th round. Yeah, but he just didn't have the energy and the stamina to do it. Again, conditioning counts for a lot in boxing, and you usually get your conditioning from the practice, from sparring. So I suspect Zhang probably doesn't do that much sparring because the guy just always looks like he's unfit. He has poor stamina, you know. Usyk versus Mark Demori. Usyk probably in like 20 seconds, maybe like a minute at tops. I wouldn't be surprised. But you never know. He might carry him. Fury schools Joshua. The feints and twitching movement will be Joshua's undoing. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like Fury could completely control Joshua from the outside with feints. Like say the way Fury fought against Klitschko, but Klitschko was able to back him up and was able to nullify Fury's offense a lot of the time. I don't think AJ would be able to. He doesn't have the lead hand control or the defensive skill or the power even of Klitschko. So yeah, I think AJ gets completely schooled. I do. Have you seen the Spider-Man Rent parody movies where they edit it so he gets the Venom suit? Oh, you mean some of them Bully Maguire videos? Yeah, like the yeah YouTube poop things. They're quite funny. Some of them. Do you know what was one of the funniest ones? Was Maguire versus Shaggy from Scooby Doo. So yeah, it was Maguire versus Shaggy. Look that up. That's one of my favorite videos on YouTube. So funny, man. Whoever edited that, they must be a genius. Like for doing that, it's such a funny idea. Yeah, Crawford mauls him. I think he stops him late. I do. Know that you said Fury could tire out AJ by clinching him up. I personally think AJ would just push Fury off him. Most times Fury tries to clinch him up. Yeah, he could do that early on, but as those big bodybuilder muscles start to tire and he starts to build up the lactic acid in them, he'll start to wear down a bit. And Fury, who has a lot of excess body fat and plenty of energy in the tank, he'll just start to wear him down and probably stop him late. That's probably what will happen, you know. Dubois got blatantly robbed versus Usyk. Since when were you not allowed to punch people directly in the balls? I guess the Ukrainians are just soft to the body. Yeah, it's all the vodka they drink. You know, they don't like it to the body. It's not just Ukrainians; it's all Eastern Europeans. They don't like it to the body. They don't like it to the balls. You know, they can't handle the superior Western dick punching tactics. You know, veteran tactics. Not impressed with Hrgovic's pro career. The names to watch are Jalolov and Ditchko. I'll be back in a minute, guys. I just need a pee. Back in a minute. Hay versus Parker. Hay in his prime, I'd go by knockout, but Parker, like shot David Hay, Parker wins. Either stops him late or wins on points. Fury just needs to feint and twitch and land a jab, and Joshua loses. Yeah, because Joshua couldn't deal with the reach and the superior hand speed and foot movement, you know, and balance. He would just get outboxed all night, and even on the inside, he'd get tied up and worn out, you know. Madrimov beating Kurbanov was a safe bet last night. Put a lot of money on Madrimov. Yeah, I had a little bet on him as well. Madrimov, easy pick. I thought. Kurbanov's a good fighter, but he didn't develop, so it is what it is. Yeah, Andy Ruiz hasn't fought in over a year. I don't think so. Interesting. I don't know what's going on with him. I really don't. Probably looking for a easy cash out fight or something. I don't know. Madrimov the best at 154. He's still got a lot to prove, but he's definitely up there. He's definitely one of the best fighters in the division, and he's a world champion now. So, yeah, I'm sure there'll be big opportunities for him in the near future, and it'll be interesting. Be interesting to see. All right. I'm not sure why Crawford wouldn't want to fight Tim Tszyu. Great money in that fight. Guess he'd rather have Eubank dive for him. Well, there's the answer. Tim Tszyu has, a good career in front of him, whereas Eubank's pretty much at the end of it. So, he's got every reason to want to fight a guy because that's what Crawford does. He fights guys who take dives and who get drained, who are at the end of their career and stuff. Like Sean Porter, for example, and Kell Brook. He doesn't fight guys in their prime who are a threat to him. He fights washed up, past their prime fighters who are compromised in some way. He's done that for the vast majority of his pro career, Ditchko hasn't fought in years, yeah. Yeah, he was a good amateur, but as a pro, he's not really done much, has he? Another point about these boxing pundit or whatever else, they've been out here making up a bunch of La La Land WWF nonsensical fantasy fights as of late. Yeah, I mean that's what Ngannou fighting Fury and AJ is. It's a fantasy fight that came true, basically. That's what it is, really. I don't think it'll be too hard for AJ to enter close range with Fury and land vicious hooks and uppercuts on the Gypsy Queen. Well, many have tried and many have failed. Better fighters than AJ have tried, haven't they? Got nothing against Chris Andre. I don't really know the guy. I don't watch his videos or anything, but from what I've seen, seems like a good guy. And nothing against him. Boxing beats and rhymes. Yeah, that guy's just an idiot. He's just one of these black tards. That's all he is. He's one of these black Power Rangers. Like, oh, the white man, and the blah blah, the white privilege, blah blah blah. He should just piss off him. Was Stavern ever good? No. He was a big puncher, but a pretty poor fighter, in my opinion. Never rated him. John O'Sullivan versus Jack Johnson. Probably John O'Sullivan. Not even kidding. Much tougher, much more durable, and experienced. Has gotten too far the last few years. He absolutely hates Lomachenko, for example, especially after he beat his boy Gainey. Yeah, you're right about Hatman. He had a racial problem with Vlad, and I'm black guy saying that. It was obvious. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows it. It doesn't matter what color you are. Everybody knows Hatman was racially biased and couldn't stand that there was a white guy ruling the heavyweight division for years. He couldn't stand it. Here's what it is. Crawford never fought a good fighter that wasn't compromised in a real fight. He's almost as overrated as Tiafimo, yeah. Yeah, Tiafimo's just an absolute fraud who had nothing but, BS fixed fights, in my opinion, except for one. And Crawford is just a guy who, in my opinion, like you say, compromised his opponents. It is what it is, and there's plenty of evidence for it. And we know, it's been well established now, we know that Crawford used loaded gloves for at least one fight. Now, for me, that puts his entire career into question, right? Because we know he used loaded gloves in one fight, the Avanesian fight. So what other fights did he use loaded gloves? To me, there has to be an investigation. What fights did he use loaded gloves for, Yeah, that would be interesting. I'd favour Madrimov. I think he's fought at a much higher level than Virgil Ortiz have. I think Madrimov's a bigger puncher and a bit more skilled. So, yeah, I'd favour him for it right now, You do make it out that AJ would have zero success against Fury. Yeah, Fury would school him in a real fight. He would. He's too big, too long, and too durable. Look, I'm not saying he'd have zero success. AJ has a puncher's chance. He could land a big shot, like a big uppercut inside, and drop Fury, but I can't see him beating him. Fury's just on another level in terms of athleticism and technique and skill, and natural fighting ability. Fury has much better stamina, much better foot speed, balance, much better physical strength in the long run. You know, he knows how to use the strength over 12 rounds. Carries his weight very, very well over 12 rounds. I think Fury wins it easily for the most part. Yeah, AJ, baddest man on the planet, apparently. Well, Ngannou would have to say that, wouldn't he? No. I've still not watched it, but a lot of people think it was a robbery, but I need to actually watch it before I know. It's going to be hilarious how Munguia's punch output will lower and it doesn't go to Canelo's body. I'm sure Munguia defensive flaws will be a factor of a losing effort. Yeah, he'll be scared of the counter punches. You know, he wasn't scared of Derevianchenko's counter punches, but he'll be scared of Canelo's counter punches. Because that's how it goes with Canelo fights. The opponents are scared of the counter punches. I haven't seen that one yet. The Ford Kolmatov fight. I haven't seen it yet. Benavidez Crawford. That won't happen. Far too big a size difference, you know. Thoughts on Joey Talks Boxing? I don't know who that is. Don't think I've heard of him. Sorry, I don't think I have. Nordic's white privilege got him called into human resources and separation notice, it sounds like. Well, it's that's kind of simplifying it a little bit. It wasn't exactly like that, but that is kind of what happened. Let me just I'll give you a nugget of what happened there. So a few weeks back when my basically my contract was coming to an end, like, and I was told your contract's going to get extended, like it usually would. Basically, we had a staff meeting with some of the members of HR. I shouldn't be telling you this. Like, I wish I recorded it. You're gonna think I'm talking shit, but I wish I recorded it. If I did, I would literally upload it. I'm not even lying. I would upload this. Basically, somebody from HR, some like morbidly obese fat bitch who you know, basically lives in an all white suburb. She called a staff meeting, right? She brought in one of the team leaders, all the whole team that I work with. All of us are white men, by the way, every one of us, and who are on that shift. There are some minorities who work with us, but everybody who was on that shift is a white man, right? And she said to us, she was highlighting problems with the company, and she said to us that you guys, meaning us, right? She literally pointed at us and said, "You guys are not a representation, or you guys don't represent this community." Now, what she's talking about, because I work in housing, she's talking about the estate and the community that we work in because it's full of immigrants, right? Because the company that I worked for, it's a housing association, and they work very, very closely with the government in their refugee schemes, where basically they take these illegal immigrants off the boat and they fill them into housing estates. They fill them into tower blocks and residential tenements and stuff like that. And basically the community is just multicultural. It's filled with all sorts of immigrants, and because all the staff who happen to be on shift that particular day are all white men, she had a she had a problem with that. She said, "You guys don't represent this community. You don't represent, therefore we don't represent the company." And I'm like, no one else said a fucking word. Everybody's, and I shouldn't have said a word either, right? It would have been in my own self-interest to not say anything, right? But everybody else sat there like a little bitch and said nothing. And I had to speak up. I was like, "Well, what's the problem? Is that a bad thing?" And then she was, "Oh, no, no, no." Like, she backtracked. "No, no, that's not a bad thing." And I'm like, "Well, why did you bring it up then? Why would you say you guys don't represent this community, but you know, you're okay for us to work in this community and do the job, you know, for a flipping what's basically minimum wage and make the place better, but basically we don't represent this community." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, hang on a second. I was born in Glasgow, right? In the West End of Glasgow. My entire family lineage, as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned, is Scottish, right? I've lived in this country my entire life. I'm a citizen of this country. I pay my taxes. I work, right? but I don't represent this community because I'm white. So a white Scottish community, I don't represent it because I'm not a benefit scrounging illegal immigrant. I'm not a dole dossing, lazy immigrant bastard who came here on a floating door or who came here illegally on a boat. And I'm not here claiming housing benefit and spitting on the walls and basically just being a degenerate like what goes on in that place. Basically, because I'm not a benefit scrounging, dole dossing illegal immigrant, I don't represent my community, is basically what she was saying. So yeah, I had a run in with the HR department at my work. And then what do you know? Call me a cynic, doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. But a few weeks later, when my contract gets extended and I get told by my manager, Don't worry, your contract's fine. It's going to get extended. You're going to continue to work for us." And then I get somebody from the HR department comes down. I get called into the office and told, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's been a problem. Yeah, due to a technicality, we can't basically we can't afford to keep on as many staff members as we have. So we're gonna have to let you go essentially. But we're gonna keep you as a sessional employee. So we'll call you as and when required, but we can't extend your contract and give you full-time work." And it was like I looked at them, I smiled, and I'm like, "Is that right? Yeah, is that how it's gonna be? Whatever. See you later. Bye." And I just left. And I'm just like, and I've just see if they contact me and say, "Do you want to come in?" Do it. I'm just gonna be like, "Nope, not interested." And I've already got another job interview lined up. So yeah, I'm basically I've moved on from that company. I want nothing to do with them. But not only that, I also have a lot of dirt on them too. So is what it is, man. But yeah, I've said a little bit too much there. It's a private thing. But yeah, basically because I was the only one who had a backbone to speak up at the HR department of a company. Now, what is the job of a HR department of a company, right? It's to make sure that everybody's treated fairly, the staff, right? To make sure everybody feels welcome, everybody feels like part of a team, and nobody is discriminated against, right? Everybody's treated within the law essentially. There's no illegal behavior going on in the company. Now, I wasn't the first to go. There've been the company I work for has a massive turnover of staff because they're refusing to give people basically full-time contracts so that they can get rid of them if they step out of line, essentially. People are too scared to say anything. They just do their job, they keep their mouth shut, and they conform, right? That's what's been happening, basically. Because I was the only one who had a backbone to say anything, conveniently, I'm the one whose contract doesn't get extended. That's how it is in this country. Absolute shambles. And basically, for the HR department of a company to call the team together while everybody's on the job, working hard, getting along, doing the job to the best of their ability, treating the customers with the utmost respect, right? Bring everybody together in a meeting and say, "You guys don't represent this company because you're all white." I mean, can you guys do you guys even believe what I'm saying? Like, do you guys think I'm lying? Do you think what I'm saying here is true? Because I can assure you guys, I'm not lying. That's exactly what happened. She told us the HR department of the company literally told the workers, "You don't represent this community because you're all white." So again, because we're not dole dossing illegal immigrants, we don't represent this company. And because she got called out on it, because I basically embarrassed her in front of her colleagues by making her backtrack, they've taken a personal vendetta. That's basically what's happened. So yeah, you guys can tell why I'm in a bit of a bad mood. That sums it up personally, doesn't it? Thoughts on Kenny Bayless? Kenny don't hurt Floyd Bayless. Yeah. I mean that sums up my thoughts on him. He's Floyd's bodyguard, you know. Cr- Crawford's kinda like Margarito. Yeah, yeah, he's got a tough chin, he walks people down, uses his size. Margarito was better though, in my opinion, in his prime. Yeah, when he fought Spence, I mean, Crawford's power was next level in that fight, so yeah, he could have been, you know? What's the race of this obese girl? Is she white? I'll give you 3 guesses as to what race she is. Of course she's white, and what's funny is she lives, like I mentioned before, she lives in an all-white community. She has no friends who aren't white. Her entire social circle is white. She lives in basically an upper class, like, tough community outside of Glasgow. I don't think she's ever even lived in Glasgow. She doesn't seem like she's from there. But I'm from Glasgow, right? My family's from Glasgow. I don't represent a Glaswegian community because I'm white, but somehow she represents it, you know? This morbidly obese toff from Ayrshire or wherever she's from. She represents it, you know? That's the state of this country. That's any company from this country that you work for, that's what happens, you know? What do I do for a living? I'm basically a caretaker. I worked for housing, essentially, and yeah, there's a lot of things that go along with it, basically. I suspect Chris Andrew might be based as an Orthodox Christian. Well, he'll need to be. He should be based if he's a Orthodox Christian. You know, he should be. Where was I? Do you think Larry Holmes would have a chance against Lennox Lewis? He would have a chance. Larry Holmes had a fantastic jab, great lateral movement. He had a low guard, which would have made it difficult for him to avoid punches against Lennox, who was very, very technically skilled and very powerful from long range. And if he got inside, he's toast. Lennox would just throw him around and lean on him. But I think it will be a hard fight. I give Larry a chance on points, but I think the likelihood is Lennox would break him down, stop him late. Nordic is far too base for modern Britain. Of course I am. Way too based. I mean, again, I can't even. I don't represent my own community that I was born in, that I was raised in, that I contributed to. You know, I don't look. Let's say the Somalian immigrant who sits on the back stairs and spits on the walls and pisses in the corner and throws his cigarettes all over the place and doesn't pay a penny in tax and doesn't work and gets housing benefit and child benefit and disability benefit or whatever, gets all these benefits from the government and barely speaks a word of English. That guy represents the community. He represents my community. Me, who works, pays my taxes, and cleans up after that guy. I don't represent the community though. That's modern Britain. That's the world we live in right now. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Full support Nordic. Illegal immigrant have to get away from our countries as soon as possible. Exactly. Nobody should be able to come here illegally. Right? If you want to come to this country, there are rules and regulations you need to follow, and there should be a very, very controlled system in place, but there isn't. And we have to clean up after these people and deal with their shit. And when those people are apparently more of an accurate representation of our community than we are, you know? Is what it is, man. Is what it is. Of course I'm based. The illegal immigrants are bad in America too. Unfortunately, many people have been getting killed because of Biden's open borders. But that's the thing. At least in America, you guys can do something about it because you guys have the legal right to bear arms. So if somebody crosses the border in your country, you can put a bullet in their leg and tell them it'll be their head if they don't leave. You know, I can't do that in this country. I go to prison for the rest of my life if I even hold a gun, sadly. I can't carry a pocket knife without going to prison if I get randomly stopped and searched, because of my white privilege, you know? Believe me, I've been stopped and searched, and thankfully, they haven't been the times where I've had a pocket knife, you know? I've had them sometimes, though, you know? Yeah, obviously against illegal immigration, where the legal immigration is so much, but the UK is too populated and it'll only get worse. Of course, it's a small country. It's an island, a small island country. You can't have like hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants coming in every year and not expect the country to be in a declined state economically and in terms of like the overall living standard. You can't expect it, you know? They have the audacity to come here illegally and scrounge, then complain that the free hotel room house they have isn't good enough. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Mate, I know of immigrants, right, who literally are going around in a community trying people's car doors and then stealing from them, bag snatching, like threatening children, like walking around with machetes, like attacking people's doors. And the housing literally just moves them to another estate and gives them a free house. Happens all the time. All the time. But, I don't represent my community because I'm a working class white man, Here's what it is. I know where I stand now. I always knew where I stood, but I do even more so now, There should be no immigration at all unless it's for specialized work that we have lots of demand for. Exactly. Like if you need people in medicine who have a specific demand for them to be there, and you can't train your own people to do that, then yeah, there can be a system in place, a controlled legal system in place to make sure that it's regulated properly and that these people are tracked and they're watched and you know where they are and when how much money they're taking from the government and how much they're going to take away with them and how many people they're bringing with them. You can't just have a boat filled with like 50 immigrants, right? And then just send them off into obscurity, no idea where they're going. And then these stupid companies like Mears and all these other like controlled opposition immigration units just take them and put them into random tower blocks across the country and just flood every single community with them. How is that ever going to work in a civilized society? It doesn't make any sense. But again, you bring this up, you lose your job and you go to prison if you bring this up to the wrong person. It is what it is. It is what it is. So just to clarify, if you sympathize with these illegal immigrants, she wouldn't have called you out for it. Yeah, of course. Look, if I was an illegal immigrant, I would represent the community, but I'm not, you know? This country is a joke, Nordic. A guy just got sent to prison for 2 years for saying it's okay to be white. Yeah, he did. Like, for putting up stickers. But if I put up stickers saying all cops are bastards or kill whitey and stuff like that, I'm not gonna go to prison. But I put up a prison saying or a sticker saying it's okay to be white, I go to prison. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the country we live in. I shouldn't need to explain why that's morally wrong. Co Came here on a door, yeah. Well, however they came here, Yeah, like the Titanic. So practically if you don't shut up and take it, as you get reamed out for being white, then you get fired from your job. Yeah. Like this woman sat there. There's about 7 of us, right, all white guys. She sat there with another like big fat bitch, her friend, and said to us to our faces. I was sitting right across from her, so I was closest. She said, "You guys don't represent this community because you're all white." Those exact words, give or take. And when I asked her about it, she backtracked, and we ended up in a bit of an argument over it. No one else said a word because I spoke up. Conveniently, again, call me a cynic, but conveniently, I'm the one who loses my employment a few weeks later. Conveniently, I mean, you can tell me I'm a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist for that one if you want to, but yeah, I'm not stupid, or at least I'm not that stupid. I can't get my head around that girl's point. What is she smoking? Oh, she's just likely as she's just being told to say that from by her handlers. She's a toff. She's an upper middle class, like liberal scumbag. Who is in charge of people's livelihoods and puts people in their place and takes their livelihoods away from them if they don't conform to the liberal agenda. It is what it is. You know, that's what happens. You know, if you, it's like Friesen said, if you don't conform to the status quo, or you don't conform to their anti-white propaganda, then it's essentially, you know, it's essentially a situation where they can literally, like, I'm in a good position because I'm not like going to starve to death or anything like that. But imagine if I had kids, right? And I was trying to, and I had like a lot of rent to pay, and a company just said, "Oh no, he stood up for himself, so and stood up for the rest of the staff, so we're going to take his employment away from him." That's literally what it is. It's punishing people, like ruining people's lives for literally speaking up for themselves. That's basically what Friesen was saying, you know? It's the tiny hats pushing all this anti-white hatred in our society. Yeah, them and everyone else, even our own people are buying into it, sadly, you know? Foreigners hate because we are capable building more than mud huts and don't cannibalize each other. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Shout out to Lawrence King for the contribution, by the way. I appreciate it, man. The elites are so good at manipulating that they can even convince whites to hate themselves. Yeah, like I was just saying, our own people. It's not even just the tiny hats, you know. It's our own people who are literally, would you call it? Our own people are literally turning on themselves. It's self hatred, but the lack of self awareness for like a very very wealthy, like upper middle class individual who's white, to say to a working class white person or a group of working class white people that they don't represent the community that they're from and that they live and work in. That is so disgusting. But it's, how do you even explain the mentality of someone like that? They have to be profiteering from it somehow. They have to be, you know? But yeah, thanks for the contribution, man. I appreciate it. God bless you. Beterbiev is the best Caucasian fighter and he's Muslim. Yeah, he is. Hopefully he finds Christ eventually, though. Yep, hey, here it is right here. Kalergi plan in full effect. Absolutely. God bless you. Literally all the nonce hunter videos in the past few months have been foreigners and mostly called Mohammed. Yeah, not only that, but you know what's funny as well? See if you see these like shoplifter documentaries, shoplifters and scammers in this country. Again, all of them are minorities. Like the amount of shoplifting that goes on in like these minority communities, these illegal immigrant communities, it's crazy, man. Crazy. Like noticing a pattern. And the legend of Francis Ngubi. Where's all the Francis Ngubi fanboys at now? All those that say exposed fury. Yeah, those guys are just normies. They probably won't be back. Unless he gets a win over someone else in boxing, you know. AJ is digressing to Jake Paul levels of competition. I'm starting to think that Hellenius and Wallin might have taken a dive now. What a fraud AJ is. Yeah, and I think he's just taking, like, I'd say developmental fights and you know, fights that make him money basically. That's all he's doing. Anyway, where was I in the chat? I'm losing my place here. It was all betting fraud to make Fury underdog against Usyk. It was all a plan. Yeah, I've said that from day one. I've always thought that. Precise and Nordic ended up being completely right about Francis Ngannou, and all the clowns who thought it was a real fight looked real stupid. I mean, I feel as if I've said this before though. Like I'm always like we're always multiple steps ahead of these normies, but they never give us credit for that, do we? You know, they never give us credit for being steps ahead of them. They never apologize either. You know, that girl must think because Glasgow is ethnically diverse, that means every workplace in Glasgow needs to be diverse, or there's a problem. All that should matter is the workers are competent. That's what I said. My exact words were, well, that's one of the things among several things that I said, but my exact words, I think, were, it shouldn't matter because as long as we all get along, right, and we all do the job, we all work competently, right, then why does it matter if we're all the same race? Like, why is that a problem? And again, that kind of made her backtrack on what she was saying, and then have a personal vendetta against me. I think I'd only met this woman like one time before then, and she got very offended because someone told a joke. Someone else, not me. Someone told a joke that wasn't even remotely offensive, and she got offended by it. So I kind of knew what a bitch she was prior to that. But I was actually very diplomatic about it, and I still got like punished because of it. Again, you can't really be diplomatic with these people because they'll always make you out to be the villain. It'll be, oh, he's a right wing, alt right, fascist, racist, white supremacist, Nazi, skinhead who hates everybody who isn't like him and all that's just the way they'll justify it, because that's the way these people roll. I'll shout out to Lawrence for the other contribution. Are you seeing more heart attacks since 2022? YouTube didn't notify me. It didn't notify me of that one. Sorry. Are you seeing more heart attacks since 2022? Oh, it did notify me, but in the starred thing. Sorry. Are you seeing more heart attacks since 2022? They added a heart health place in my area that was never there before. Do you know what? Ever since the sticky jabby, there's been a lot more heart related problems in this country. You're absolutely right about that. And what else is it you said? Do you think? Do you also think that Fury got paid extra to carry Ngannou, maybe to legitimize him as a boxer, make more money? I legit can't explain how bad he did. Yes, I've said that from day one. Fury versus Ngannou was literally a show. It was a pantomime. Fury was carrying him. He didn't try to hurt him. He never at one time pushed for the knockout, tried to knock him out. He put him in his place here and there, but it was all pretty superficial what he was doing. He never once really tried to stamp his authority on the fight. So yeah, it is what it is. It was just a staged fight, and it made both guys a lot of money. It's made Anthony Joshua a lot of money. It's made the prospect of Fury versus Joshua bigger than it ever was. So, yeah, that's how I see it, basically. So it's a massive fight now. Yeah, shout out to Mr. Poe. Good to see you here, man. God bless you. Where was I again? Here I was. AJL Fury. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I literally heard some moron in my local newspaper say yesterday before the fight, the reason why Ngannou is so good is because he had shovel hook. He has his shovel hook he developed from shoveling sand in Africa. Well, I mean, I guess that's how you prepare for a professional heavyweight fight, by shoveling sand, I guess. Oh, man. It's always obese white women. Yeah. Did she have long pointed nose and a small hat by any chance? No, but she was ugly, like very, very ugly with short hair. And she looked like she was in like a 70s or something. I don't think she was even that old, but she looked way older than she was. Like and she was very, very fat and very, very ugly. Just a typical liberal, essentially. Oh wait, I already read that. Sorry. Oh, how's it going, man? Someone super chatted in Paraguayan dollars. Yeah, well, any contribution's fine with me. It's always much appreciated. How is Fury finished because of that obviously fixed fight against Ngubu? Yeah, Fury's got plenty left. Don't be fooled. He's got plenty left. Recently got fired as well from my 3-year security job because they expect me to stay hours after my shift because minorities can't show up on time. Mate, we're in the same boat. This country is a disgrace. And do you know what? I honestly, I've got no criticisms whatsoever for people who just don't want to work in this country, because what incentive do we have to work our asses off 5 days a week for basically minimum wage, just to basically be told we don't belong here because we're white, to be racially discriminated against by people that tell us they are against racial discrimination. I mean, I know people at my workplace, and look, I'm still in touch with my colleagues, and there's a lot of there's a lot of them that are very, very vengeful towards the company. I know people that have been turned down for promotions due to their age. People that have been listen. The company I work for, right? There's coke heads, literally like female coke heads that work on the reception. Don't do a single thing. They sit about all day. Don't do their job. The men like myself have to pick up the slack for them. But because they know somebody in the company and they were hired for diversity reasons, they get away with it. Whereas it's someone like myself who was expected to pick up the slack for people like that and do more than we were really contracted to do, basically because of the situation we were born into. What incentive is there to work your ass off and to support your family and stuff like that when you've got people like that literally getting given everything on a platter? You know, there's no justice when you put it like that. Um, Lawrence says another contribution. Thank you. What was incredible to see was Ngannou going, "What is this?" and his facial expression changing. The round and a half went by, reminding me of Canelo. Yeah, Canelo, because he wasn't used to being hit with a real boxer with real punches, was like just absolutely in shock at the fact he was getting hit by a light heavyweight boxer. He just couldn't believe it, could he? And that was what happened to Ngannou. Never been hit by a real professional heavyweight full force before, had he? So yeah, here's what it is. Mr. Dickovich face in the avatar is how Nordic looks when normies say dumb thing. Yeah, that's my facial expression. Like when I'm just like in the gym and I hear someone say, Anthony Joshua is chinny and Ngannou might knock him out. I'm placing a bet on it. And that's the face I do. I'm like, an orange? Oh, man. Oh, it's funny, isn't it? Yeah, lack of a shovel. Yeah, he's just shoveling with his hands, shoveling the sand with his hands. Could you imagine it? What a badass, eh? Nordic, I don't know why, but I also thought Ngannou would have a very good chin in boxing. I did think AJ could TKO Ngannou, but I guess you can't have a great chin in MMA and boxing, two different sports. Yeah, it's just like you said it yourself, different sports, different techniques. It's very, very different it's difficult to reconcile the two. It is what it is. Don't know if you saw my comment. Yeah. Sorry, I had to go back because I was losing my place. But yeah. Thanks for the comment, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. God bless you. Same to you. Normies are incapable of connecting the dots. Of course they are, and even if they are capable, they just don't want to because they're ignorant, spastic normies. So what do you expect? Is what it is. And I'm in America. Yeah, that's good, man. God bless you. Like I wish I lived in America. I'd be a lot less black pilled and I'd have more motivation if I was in America. I'll tell you that. NGOs facilitating mass immigration to the Western world are largely funded by the same people. Yeah, we know. Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. We all know it. They literally put Parker against the two biggest threats that AJ had, Wilder and Zhang. So now AJ most likely gets a safe fight against Parker, who I'm not sure will want to lay down. Do you know, again, on paper, that fight makes sense. They both just won big fights on the same card. Stick them in against each other. I know the first fight wasn't great, but on paper, like I said, it makes perfect sense. Oh yeah, London's more dangerous than bloody Afghanistan now. That's why they call it Londanistan. Londanistan. Basically, that's what. I'm sure that's where that comes from. Basically. Um, where was I? I keep losing my place on this. I stopped going to my local McDonald's because they have so many foreigners working there. I don't trust them to not spit in my food, mate. That's the least of your worries at McDonald's. McDonald's is like disgusting processed crap. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's tasty. It tastes nice, but Again, it's, like, really bad for you, McDonald's. The like McDonald's is the kinda thing, like, if I was to eat it, it'll be very, very, like, very, very rare, just a once in a blue moon kinda thing, you know? I think the last time I went to McDonald's, I got chicken nuggets, and they were kinda nice. But, yeah, I wouldn't make a habit of eating there. But, yeah, occasionally, I suppose it's fine. But, yeah, if they've got a lot of immigrants working there, I'd be scared that they'd poison me or spit in the food. Yeah, I agree. Is what it is. You ever wonder what organizations are transporting the migrants from their makeshift boats of the coast of Africa to the shores of England? I'll let you guess. Oh, believe me, I know. And I tell you one thing, but again, because I worked in that industry, I know what companies are housing them. I know what companies are literally, and I've got a lot of dirt. I know what companies are involved. Are literally These companies are literally taking these illegal immigrants. Some of them escaped convicts. Some of them pedophiles. Right? Some of them rapists. Some of them thieves. Some of them like known for attacking people and stealing from people, everything. And they're literally housing these guys across the road from schools, from primary schools. I'm not even kidding. They're putting bag snatchers and dangerous criminals in houses across the road from schools. And mark my words, one day this is going to become public. It is. Most people that landed clean on Ngannou weren't the size or had the power of Joshua. Yeah, exactly. Joshua probably hits harder than anybody in the UFC. Another contribution. I left the UK. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. God bless you. I left the UK because I couldn't take it anymore. Plus, I'm top tax bracket, 45%, plus national insurance. I moved to South America, and I shit you not, it's safer here than the UK for the most part, and the UK is done. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right, man. And do you know what? I've got the money to leave the UK right now. I've got a bit of money in the bank. Just I've saved up over the last few years, but it's basically it's a situation where I've got ties here. I've still got family here who I need to look after. But once I don't have those ties, I'm definitely considering an exit and move into somewhere else, somewhere where I can actually achieve something. Where I can actually be financially independent and not be taxed out the ass to the government. Because even I was not much above the minimum wage, and I was being taxed out the ass, having to pay national insurance and all that crap. And the amount that they charge for rent in this country, the amount that they charge for council tax and everything else, like they drain the life out of you. The UK government holds its people back and taxes the crap out of them. And it's not worth thinking about, man. It's horrible. It's very wise to try and get yourself an exit route, I think. And I think you're absolutely right. I really do. And that's probably the best way to go about it. Yeah, God bless you, man. AJ is the greatest of all time. I mean, did you see what he did against the MMA fighter who only had one boxing match prior? Legendary stuff. Yeah. And that boxing match happened to be a loss, Yeah, it tells you everything. Wilder was never a threat to AJ. He's a complete bum. Fury didn't even train for the third Wilder fight and still battered him. Yeah, he came in obese for that third fight and still knocked him out and won most of the rounds easily. It might still be better over here in America, but it's also going downhill over here, yeah. But you guys have a fighting chance. Like I said, as long as you have the legal right to bear arms, you have a fighting chance. You can have your own property, and you can say anybody who comes to my property is getting shot, and you better leave my children and my family alone. In my house, the government could break in and they could throw my entire family in jail, and there's nothing I could do about it. That's I live in a totalitarian dictatorship, a totalitarian police state, sadly, but that it is what it is. Hearing all this stuff about immigrants makes me appreciate Ukraine more. You can't imagine how rare it is to see a non-Ukrainians here. Too bad the country is a war zone. Yeah, yeah. It's a tragedy what's happening in Ukraine because it seemed like for the most part, it seemed like a very traditional, conservative place, but sadly, it's been corrupted. The government were taken over essentially by the West, and it's just become a war zone, as you say, which is sad because Ukraine is a place that I would love to move to, if it wasn't a war zone, The anti-white hatred originates from the tiny hats. It's just the low IQ white liberals who end up buying into it. But the anti-white multiculturalist sentiment doesn't originate from white people. No, but white people are complicit. They're complicit in it. A lot of them are. The foreign spit adds a character to your burger. Yeah, that'll be like the liberal justification for it. You know. Wilder's a bum, but a bum who hits hard. Is Hellenius, Wallin, or Ngannou a bigger threat than Wilder? I would say so in real fights, like Wallin and not Ngannou, but Hellenius and Wallin, yeah, in real fights. Yeah, Wilder's a bum. Here's what it is. I mean, he may have a bit of power in his straight right, but that's about it, All right, I'll try to cool it with the political stuff now and bring it back to boxing. Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate that. It's all good because I agree with everything you're saying. I do. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I've got no argument. It is what it is. God bless you. Who wins? Parker versus Ruiz 2 if it happens. Parker. I thought Parker won the first fight. It was close, but I thought he won it. And with the state that Ruiz has been in recent fights, I think Parker wins even more clearly. I don't think he stops him, but I think he wins on points even more clearly. Gaddafi stopped migrants crossing Europe from Libya, and the powers that be terminated him. Yeah, Gaddafi wasn't going to play ball, was he? So they destroyed him, quote unquote, liberated the country from a dictator, and now the country is a third world shithole. Now it's a failed state, That's what Western propaganda can do to a country, European taxes are basically slavery. We have it bad in the USA, but not nearly as bad as Europe. Yeah, and that's why I wish our people would stand together. Like I wish America and the UK would stand together against our corrupt governments. Because look, the UK is obviously a much older country than America. Look, America was founded by Brits. America was founded by Europeans. So as far as I'm concerned, we're the same people, right? British and American people, ethnically British people, we're all Europeans. We're all the same people, right? So we should stand together and tell our Marxist governments to stop flooding us with immigrants, stop taxing the life out of us, and we need to fight back and establish some sort of new system. It's what has to be done, It will never happen, but if we want things to change for the better, it will have to be done. AJ didn't gloat or anything. He made some money on to the next year. Well, AJ knew it wasn't anything to gloat about. You don't brag about beating an 0-1 fighter, AJ makes Fury quit on his stool after 4 rounds, and you know it, Nordic. No, I don't think that will happen. If anything, the opposite could happen, Oh, 1 second. Need to plug my charger in. This is about to run out of battery. StreamYard uses up a lot of bloody, what'd you call it? A lot of electricity. 1 sec. Yep, my charger's right next to me, so I don't have to go get it like I usually do. All right, here we are. There's it plugged in. Awesome. Far more land mass in the USA. Yeah, exactly. There's more defensible positions in the US. Much more strategic position. Maybe I'll move to America one day. You never know. AJ doesn't do shit, JD. He gets outboxed. Robocop AJ always struggled with movers. If he faced Klitschko in his prime, he would have gotten knocked Spark out. Yeah, probably. The difference between the UK and the USA is in the USA, you have the right to bear arms, and also states, if your state is screwed, you can move. If the UK is shit, that's all you got. Yeah, because the UK is one state. And like you say, like in America, you could live in Texas and have or Florida and have like a moderately conservative government, but then you move to say New York or California, and they'll throw you in jail for a Twitter comment. It's like you can always move out of that situation, you know? That's what it is. In the UK, we don't have that luxury, unfortunately. Nordic is the total absolute of Luke Thomas. Why am I here? Who's Luke Thomas? I don't know who that is. I'm not sure who that is. Luke Thomas. Oh, the opposite, the total opposite of Luke Thomas. I don't know who that is. Who's your current top 5 heavyweights? Fury, Usyk, AJ, Parker, and who else? Who's right after that? Yeah, I know who it is. Who's right after that? Probably Zhang, probably because he beat Joyce, and yeah, and I'd put him right after them. Opposite. I'm the opposite of him. Yeah, I don't know who he is. Yeah, how's it going, CPB? God bless you, man. I thought Zhang Parker was a good fight. Nick Bull was pretty dirty against Raver. Yeah, that's what everybody's saying. Well, not everybody. A lot of people are saying it was a robbery. Some people are saying that he didn't deserve it because he fought dirty. You know, I'll need to watch it first. Gaddafi just wasn't wasn't sufficiently embracing democracy. Had nothing to do with creating a currency that would rival the US dollar. Yeah, the propaganda destroyed Gaddafi and destroyed the country. It's now a failed state, you know. That's what the country is. And very rarely do people in the mainstream media or normies ever talk about it. What's going on today is what caused the founding fathers to revolt against the British. Yeah, but basically the old world cooks versus based America. You know, that's what it is, isn't it? I was screaming at my TV for Zhang to go for the knockout. He literally had Parker on chicken legs and went on to throw 2 punches for the rest of the round. Yeah, that's just Zhilei Zhang. He's got poor stamina. That's what it is. How highly do you rate Jermaine Franklin? I think he's tough and durable, but not really that skilled. Not that big a puncher. But a guy who will go rounds with any heavyweight. Like, very, very difficult guy to stop, basically, you know. America would be Europe. It's just our founders and first few decade leaders put things into place to make it very difficult to turn us into Europe. Dems and lefties have pushed hard for it, though. Yeah, they have. And it'll happen eventually if things keep going the way they are, which is why I hope that you guys keep your guns. Don't let you. I don't care how many fake school shootings there are on the news. Don't let the government take your guns on any sort. If a government show up to your door, try to take your guns, get your entire family armed, every single window, have a rifleman, and say, get off our property now. Otherwise, you'll be shot. You're not taking our guns. If every family in America does that, it will remain hopeful, or I will remain hopeful about it, you know, as everyone should, I think. Anyway, here's what it is. Fury trained for the Ngannou fight in the kebab shop, yeah. Yeah, trained there in Burger King too, I'd imagine. Your Usyk versus Joshua video is still one of the most accurate one of the most accurate predictions I've ever seen. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I did all right with that one, didn't I? I mean, to be honest, I was just being logical because I'd seen enough of both guys to see what should happen logically, you know? Is what it is. Do you think Thomas Adamek should have moved back down to cruiserweight after the Vitali fight? Do you think he should have moved to cruiserweight sooner? Also, who would you have picked between Adamek and Pulev? Well, Adamek avoided that fight. That fight was ordered by the IBF in 2014 or 2013 or 2014, I think, and Adamek pulled out. I think Pulev would have won on points. Too big, too fast at that stage of their careers. I think he would have won it easily on points. But Adamek, as cruiserweight, was very, very good. He was far too small for heavyweight, and it's a surprise that he went as far as he did at heavyweight, you know, beating Areola and Michael Grant and guys like that. But I don't think he would have beaten Pulev or someone at that level. I don't think he would have ever beaten a Klitschko. Should he have moved to cruiserweight sooner? Well, I think he moved there at the right time because he won a title at light heavyweight, did pretty well. Lost to Chad Dawson. There's no shame losing to someone like Chad Dawson, especially not at that stage of his career. But when he moved up to cruiserweight, I think he was a lot more suited to that weight. And I think he did a lot better there. So, yeah, I think that was the right weight for him. I think Adamek to me was always better at cruiserweight. I think he was always better there. So yeah, I think that makes sense. I think he handled his career well. As far as him moving back down to cruiserweight, that would have been very difficult to do because he put on a lot of weight to move up to heavyweight, and I don't think his durability would have been the same. He probably should have retired after that Vitali fight, if truth be told. But then again, he had a few wins after it, like Eddie Chambers and Steve Cunningham. So I don't know. Adamek had a good career. I think he did pretty much as well as he could have, if truth be told. I think Jermaine Franklin could beat Jared Anderson. I don't think so. I think he'd probably give him problems, but lose on points, just like he did with AJ and White. There's a new movie coming out. It's about modern day civil war that breaks out in America. Yeah, yeah, that's a Bumhouse movie, isn't it? Like, oh no, A24, one of them stupid movies. That's just predictive programming. That's what it is. You know that the conservatives will be the bad guys, and the liberals and the Antifa types will be. We just want to be in peace, but the evil racists are trying to shoot us. And every time there'll be like a white guy with a gun, he'll be like, "We don't take kindly to colored folks in these parts." They'll be like the Hawker Mustangs and all that. That'll be like a funny propaganda film, but I'll never watch it. So yeah, I'm not interested in it. What do you think? Oh, I talked about that earlier. I don't even want to mention it again. Sorry, but check out the earlier part of the stream if you want to know my thoughts on that. What would Larry Merchant or Manny Stewart think of the MMA boxing crossover? To be honest, I think they'd probably be honest about it and just say what a gimmick it is. Those guys didn't usually mince their words, particularly not Larry Merchant. He was a guy who was pretty honest about his views on boxing, didn't kiss these guys' asses. And when there was a gimmicky situation, he was the first one to tell you about it. Guy who told it like it was. Adamek getting knocked out by Eric Molina and Miller was sad to see. Yeah, he was completely shot then. I think in his prime he could have beaten those guys, but kind of like he did against Chris Arreola. But yeah, that was a completely shot, washed up, chinny version of Adamek. He was never the same after the Klitschko fight. But even a few years after the Klitschko fight, he was in a lot better shape than he was for that Molina fight, and the Miller fight. Did anyone else notice that whenever Chris Arreola was losing a fight, he would always pretend to injure his hand so he had an excuse? Yeah, he was known for that, wasn't he? Like, he did that against Wilder, didn't he? Yeah. Thoughts on potential Cordina versus Ford? I would go with Cordina on points, but saying that, Ford kind of exceeded expectations in his last fight, so maybe he could get a stoppage. Maybe he's strong and powerful enough to do it. When Pacquiao was better at the lower weights, or was Pacquiao better at the lower weights than he was at the high weights like Walter? Well, yes and no. He was better in the sense that he was able to be bigger and like overpower his opposition and knock them out. But he was more technically skilled when he moved up in weight because he had to be. So he had to develop and become a much better fighter technically. So yeah, yes and no. That's my answer to it. It's a bit of both. I would pick Franklin in that fight. Personally, I think Anderson is the most overrated bum in the heavyweight division. Another Black Hope Amero bum. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself, if truth be told. That's it is what it is, It is what it is. Jared Anderson went life and death with a washed up Charles Martin. Yeah, that doesn't bode well for him, does it? Not one bit. Charles Martin lost that fight. Yeah, Charles Martin might have took a dive. A lot of people thought that about the AJ fight as well. Charles Martin AJ fight, and I could see it. I could. I remember Larry Merchant called out B-Hop for taking a bum fight one time. Gotta love Larry. We need more people like him. But he would be cancelled in today's era. Yeah, where he's like, tonight we brought you junk. You remember when Roy Jones fought that like easy opponent, and Larry Merchant's like, we usually like to bring you good fights, but tonight we brought you junk. Like, he was so honest about it. Thoughts on potential Pacquiao versus Ben? Do you know what? Like, I wouldn't even. I saw Pacquiao training lately. I wouldn't even be surprised if he beat Conor Ben. Like, I don't think he'd stop him, but I wouldn't be surprised if he beat him on points. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Like, in my opinion, Ben isn't as good as Dennis Ugas. In my opinion, I could see Pacquiao winning it if it's a real fight. I think he could win it on points. I saw something. Scott Harrison was supposed to defend his title against Juan Guzman, Nicky Cook, and Martin Horino in 2006 and have a unification with Marquez some point. How do you think he'd do? Yeah, he was set to fight Nicky Cook in London, and that was the fight that got cancelled because he got arrested and he lost his title. But I think he would have destroyed Nicky Cook. I think that's an easy fight. I think he would have beaten him. Guzman would have been a very, very hard fight at super featherweight. And yeah, that would have been it. I don't know who I'd pick there, but I think he would easily beat Nicky Cook. No doubt about it. Ariola pretended to hurt his hand against Adamek, Stavern won, Wilder, Kanatsky, and Andy Ruiz. Yeah, that seems to be just his planned excuse for when he loses, If he loses, he's got an excuse. I also heard Scott Harrison was supposed to fight Alex Arthur as well in 2008. Yeah, there was talks of that fight. Those two are friends, by the way. Like, Scott's dad actually used to train Alex Arthur, and they used to spar together. But yeah, at that point in time, there was talks of them fighting, but it never materialized. Never happened, Like, that would have been a massive fight, but yeah, never materialized. I think he would have won it probably. Oh yeah, Larry Merchant's my favorite boxing commentator of all time. Without a doubt, the best in my opinion. I like watching old fights with his commentary, and his old interviews are funny too, Yeah, Floyd started whining and crying because Larry refused to kiss his ass and tell him how great he was. That was so funny. If I was 50 years younger, I'd kick your ass. That is based. Like, Larry Merchant's based. He is. He really is. Merchant would either be cancelled or heavily programmed. Probably the first. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I know Nick Fuentes. Yeah, he's kind of based. I'm a little bit skeptical about him, though. What's the most impressive Pacquiao win? Barrera at 126 or Cotto at 147? Well, Cotto had a big size advantage, so maybe that. But I do think Barrera was better than Cotto. I'd say Cotto based on the size difference, but yeah, I think Barrera was better in terms of skills, Yeah, I honestly don't mind Pacquiao getting a big one-off payday at this point. His legacy is secured regardless. Exactly. And could you imagine if Pacquiao beat um could you imagine if he beat Conor Ben at this stage of his career? That would be so funny. I'm curious to see it just in case, It's hilarious to me how people can call Floyd TB with a straight face. The man lost to Logan Paul. Yeah, he did. He literally did. What's your favorite food? I've seen English food and it looks like garbage. Is Scottish food any better? Well, there's not really much of a difference, to be honest. I mean, in Scotland, we have things like square sausages, which is basically minced beef or steak, like minced up into a square shape. We have potato scones, which are really nice as well, and haggis. Those are like well-known Scottish foods. I think fried chicken was even invented in Scotland, or so I've heard. So yeah, that's something. But I eat a lot of steak from like Highland farms and all that, and I eat trout. I eat a lot of fish. I had trout today for dinner. Actually, it was beautiful. Trout and veggies. That's probably my favorite thing to eat. Fish. I'm a big fan of fish. I'd say fish is my favorite. Steak's probably my second favorite, but yeah, I love fish. But I do like traditional Scottish food as well. I love like a full Scottish breakfast, which is like a big fry up, and I love haggis and stuff like that. It's very, very nice. It's an acquired taste, but I really like it. So yeah, there's a lot of things I like. I'd imagine it's not much different to what you get in America. Just the way things are prepared is sometimes different. Yep, based Merchant. Larry Merchant might be my favorite Jew of all time. Yep, a based Jew. Nick Fuentes is gay. I hope not. He probably is. I hope not. Yeah, a lot of these fake conservatives are. Why is Shakur Stevenson confident that he can beat a prime Pacquiao in that Hood interview? Wouldn't Shakur get dropped by a prime? But of course he would, mate. Prime Pacquiao stops him in 3 rounds. He stops Shakur Stevenson in 3 rounds. Cotto was quite chinny, but he was able to take punches from Canelo, no problem. Oh yeah, but Sergey Kovalev wasn't, but that was totally a real fight, you know. Fuentes is based. Yeah, he sounds kind of based. To be fair, Floyd had some decent wins like Corrales and Cotto at 154. Yeah, he did. But he ran all night against Cotto. I thought he lost that fight. I gave that fight to Cotto. It would feel right having Michael Buffer announce Pacquiao's last ever pro fight as well, if it is, because Manny has obviously been with Showtime for the past few years. Yeah, he has been, hasn't he? Nothing beats a nice medium rare sirloin steak with some potatoes and a pot. Oh man, you're making me hungry, man. I love a sirloin steak, man. And yeah, you're right. Medium rare is my favorite way to prepare it. You know, beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and some nice totties with it. Yeah, potatoes and a steak, beautiful. I thought Cotto beat Floyd. He outworked him. Floyd did nothing in most of the rounds. Yeah, I agree. Floyd just sat on the ropes. Like he won round 12. Like he put a beating on Cotto in round 12. But aside from that, he just sat on the ropes and did nothing while Cotto wailed away at his body, jabbed him and broke his nose, outworked and outboxed him. Yeah, he just outworked him. I thought Cotto won the fight clearly, you know? Yeah, and Gatti was a journeyman, let's be honest. My favorite commentator was Manny Stewart. Yeah, Manny Stewart knew his stuff, and Larry Merchant was just pure based. You know, nothing beats trout with boiled potatoes. Give me a rare steak with sautéed potatoes. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that was what I had today. Was trout and veggies. Yeah, that was pretty beautiful, man. I've got to admit. Gatti was a bum even in his prime. He was completely shot against Floyd. Yeah, he was. Like, and I don't rate Gatti one bit, not even the slightest bit. He was an entertaining fighter, a great warrior, but he was a journeyman. Let's be honest, journeyman at best. If Crawford didn't fight Pac, Shakur isn't really into that kind of fight. The dude just talks because he got Jay Prince to the rescue. Yeah. You knock him out, you have to deal with Jay Prince, like breaking your kneecaps with baseball bats. You know, Cotto literally had no coach for that fight. Yeah, he didn't, did he? Do I rate Raymond Ford? I've not even watched him. I've not even watched him one time, so I don't. But I heard he had a great win in his last fight. You know. Shout out to Durden. Been a while, man. God bless you. How you been? God bless you, man. Facts. Jay Prince is a thug who will rescue Shakur, Jared, and Abdullah Mason. Yeah, and he had Floyd's back for a while. He had Andre Ward's back. You know, is what it is. Why else would you have a gangster as your manager? You know, Gatti was already washed from the Ward fights, and Floyd could have fought Costa for a 140 title, but then Costa would have knocked him out. Costa Zoo would have done exactly to Floyd what he did to Shamba Mitchell and Zab Judah. Like, you ever seen those fights? Like the Shamba Mitchell Zab Judah fights? That's what Costa would have done to Floyd. Easy peasy. Costa would have won it. Maidana beat Floyd, even though Floyd made him wear pillow gloves to lessen his power. Floyd is such a coward. Yeah, Maidana won the first fight clearly. Any fights that people overrate or overhype quite recently? Well, we just had one, you know. Anthony Joshua fighting an 0-1 MMA fighter, you know. I'd say that's pretty overrated and overhyped, you know. That's what it is. As weird as it sounds, I'm glad Hatton has Costa Zoo on his resume instead of Floyd. Yeah, that's probably for the best. That's Hatton's like career-defining win, even though it was kind of rigged in a way, like in a sense, you know. It's a career-defining win for Hatton. I'm happy for him, you know. Oh man, I'm tired. I'll end this one soon. I don't get why the establishment backed Ward so much. I can understand them backing Floyd because he made so much money. Well, again, it's not always about money. It's a lot of it's about just pushing cultural Marxism, you know. It's not always about their own self-interest. A lot of the time, it's literally about some sort of political agenda, you know? It's sad that AJ gets away with this shit, yeah. I mean, getting, like, paid, what, 20, 30 million to fight an 0-1, like, bum from MMA who can't box, you know? It's not a fair world we live in, is it, you know? It's good Ward is the son of God, yeah, that's why. God willed it, that's why. Floyd decided to fight Gatti, but it's the same guy who avoided a 140 Hatton, yeah. Yeah, Floyd didn't want to fight Hatton. Do you remember when Floyd said he would fight Hatton in the UK when he was at 140, and then he didn't. He didn't fight him till they were at 147 in Vegas, where he could have his bought off judges and his bodyguard referee, you know. I wonder what the origins of Marxism and Bolshevism are. Well, you know what they are. We all know what they are. Just not allowed to say it, are we? Ward drained Chad Dawson down to 168 and still had to headbutt him to win. Yeah, but the Ward fanboys will say, but Dawson said he would go down to 168. Da, da, da. Like, because Dawson said it, that means that you're not allowed to criticize Ward for it. It was all Dawson's fault, even though it obviously didn't suit Dawson and suited Ward. I mean, the Andre Ward fans are just normies. And, you know, I've had enough ranting about normies on this particular live stream, haven't I? Tyrone Booth. Do you mean Tyrone Booth? Is he boxing tonight? I don't even know that. We all know you're excited for the Oscars tomorrow. Have you seen any of the films nominated? No, I've never watched the Oscars in my life. Never will. I don't know what films have been nominated. What films are even out now? I've no idea. Well, I know some of them, but I've no idea like what ones are going to have Oscars. Your career retrospective on Andrew Ward's career is one of your best videos. Very well done and informative. Thanks, I appreciate that. I had to do it because every single video that was being made about Andre Ward, like around about that time, was just all positive fluff pieces. So I had to put one out there that was at least real, you know, that actually had some genuine, authentic, real information that would steer people in the right direction in regards to Andre Ward's career. So is what it is. I thought if no one else is going to do it, it might as well be me. Who are the worst to deal with, Flomos or Ward fanboys? Well, they're mostly the same people, but I'd say the Flomos were a bit more fanatical. You know, Ward had a lot of fans on the internet, but he couldn't really sell tickets. For whatever reason, Floyd could sell tickets. I don't know why. Is what it is. Though, to be fair, most of the tickets were usually his opponents, weren't they? You know, I don't get how people can say that first Kovalev Ward fight was close. Ward got beat up. I gave every single round up in that first fight. I gave every single round to Kovalev. I don't think any round was even close. It honestly baffles me why Ward didn't just move up to 175 for the Dawson fight and could have seen Ward against Kovalev for undisputed. Well, because he didn't think he could beat Dawson at 175. Because Dawson beat Hopkins, who's similar to Ward stylistically, so he thought the only way I can beat him is to drain him so that he damages his stamina and his punch resistance, you know? Karl Marx used to drink in pubs in Salford like he was actually one of the working class, yeah. That was probably him doing his market research and trying to find some common ground, you know? Somehow Triple G docked Andre Ward by not moving up 2 weight classes while Ward had Beterbiev waiting as his mandatory, yeah. I mean, I think we all know that Beterbiev would have ragdolled Andre Ward in that ring. I think we all know that. Floyd thinks he beat Pac-Man easy, 10-2. Yeah, he thinks, but really he lost most of the rounds in that fight. Ward did. I mean, Manny just outworked and outlanded him, you know? Outworked him for 12 rounds. Ward fought Kovalev in Oakland and it was somehow Kovalev that was selling it. Yeah, in America, and it was somehow Kovalev that was selling the tickets. Yeah, it was. And then for the second fight, it was like a half-empty arena, you know, because Ward's a bum, and casuals weren't really interested in him during his career, you know. Like Deontay Wilder fights in Alabama, where they give out free tickets at the gas station. Yeah, because why would anyone want to waste their time watching his fake fights, you know? Interesting that the first Ward versus Kovalev fight was 2 weeks after the presidential elections. Remember, Russia is bad, right? Being sarcastic. Coincidence? Yeah, of course. It was the Russians' fault that Hillary lost the election. So, yeah, Orange man bad, Russian bad. You know, they couldn't let a Russian beat an Olympic gold medalist on that night. They couldn't allow it. Even Ward's hometown found him boring. Yeah, they did. Ward was talking about going up to heavyweight and beating AJ at one point. Yeah, he was. He was talking about winning a heavyweight title and fighting the Klitschko's and everything. So yeah, Ward officially ducked the Klitschko's. Yeah, he ducked them. Is what it is. By his logic and the logic of his fans, you know. Beterbiev, Bivol and Beterbiev are the reason why Ward retired. Yeah, they're two of the reasons. Yeah, Triple G in his prime could KO Ward as long as there was no clinching, you know. Once I saw Ngannou wearing pink, I knew he was going to get stopped. Yeah, probably like a humiliation ritual, kind of like Canelo wearing pink before getting schooled by Bivol, you know. Will Munguia just stand there and do nothing against Canelo? Well, that's the pattern with most Canelo fights. Unless it's like the Bivol fight, then it could be something different, you know. Ward would have been better off going into the UFC, yeah. Yeah, then he could elbow and knee all he wanted, you know, and clinch and lean all he wanted. Ward ducked Manuel Charr. Yeah, Ward could have moved up to heavyweight and tried to get a title from Manuel Charr. Kind of like Roy Jones did against John Ruiz, you know. But Manuel Charr would probably beat Ward in a fight. Too big, too strong, you know. Out of Davis, Shakur, and Haney, which one of them will retire undefeated? Probably all of them, because they don't have real fights. Unless the establishment wants to set them up, they're not going to lose. Their fights are all fake, you know? Yeah, with his elbows and knees. Why do boxers wear pink? Do you know, weird you should say that. I've got a pink t-shirt on now. Look, I'm wearing pink. I must be kind of fruity then. Oh, no, but it's not pink. It's salmon. Technically, it's salmon, you know? That's what it is. I don't know why boxers would wear pink, though. It's a bit strange, isn't it? People are saying that Inoue should move up to fight Tank. By that logic, Tank should move up and fight Crawford or Beterbiev. Yeah, but they don't have a consistent standard, do they? The Tiny Hats hate Russia with a passion, which can explain Bob Arum's previous reluctancy to make Bivol versus Beterbiev undisputed. Yeah, they can't have a Russian becoming like a top pound for pound undisputed fighter, can they? Just wouldn't look right in this current political climate. Ward claims to be a man of God. Yeah, he cheated his entire career. Yep, Ward's an absolute hypocrite and a disgrace to boxing. You wouldn't wear pink shorts in a boxing match, though. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't wear pink shorts. No chance in a boxing match. That's a little bit too showy, I think. You know, I just happen to have one pink T-shirt. I didn't even buy this. I'm sure someone gave it me. I can't even remember. Like, I've had it for years, you know. But on that note, getting pretty tired. So yeah, I've been going for nearly 3 hours. I'm gonna wrap this one up. Thanks for stopping by, guys. It's been an interesting one. I appreciate it. God bless each and every one of you. Oh yeah, you gotta back that shit up wearing pink. Yeah, you gotta. Otherwise, it's like I said, it's a humiliation ritual, you know. But yeah, thanks, man. Take care, all you guys. God bless you all. I'm gonna wrap this one up. God bless each and every one of you. Stay based, and yeah, God bless.